my computer. I thought you could see, I'm like, oh, embarrassing. I literally have like 20 tabs open at one time. All right, so I want to dive in. First off, I want to say thank you so much for you guys taking time. I know this was hard for all of us. I got back. I left at 3 a.m. yesterday from Miami straight to Waco. Went to a meeting yesterday with Brian Carter, and just to talk about event stuff and just how we really grow the events team, and we grow the sales and just different things to have in place. And so we had some great conversations yesterday and was able to attend that. Yesterday was also my 1-year anniversary. I got home, later at night. Thank you to James and Jonathan for getting me home before 9 p.m., like 8:15-ish. That was a super win. So I got a little bit of time before I passed the heck out, and then woke up this morning and been grinding, but a lot to catch up on. And so I know it's a sacrifice on all of us, because many of us, obviously people have businesses and you had things scheduled for today already. Some of you guys are just getting back into town, and like myself, need to play catch up on like life and everything happening. So I want to say thank you for taking time, and we don't need to take the whole day, but I want to tell you guys like why I wanted to run this, what I wanted to do. And so, because I was just like, can we meet together? Something that moving forward, I really want to be able to actually have a full like retreat day as a group, whether it's in the end of November or beginning of December before mall season starts. But it's not for malls. It's a 2019. It's the next year, the retreat to plan the next year and really dive in and look at, okay, what has gone great this year, minus malls, what has, where do we need to fix? And I mean, I had this with the DMs this past year, and we did it in a day. We didn't do a go away retreat, but I'd like to, say, hey, let's go to Galveston for the weekend, or hey, let's go here and take a day and just like sit and just kind of review numbers, review stats. I think it's important to do once a campaign, but definitely super important for anybody, whether you're a CSP or any business, to make sure you're doing a full annual review. And it's something I'd love to do a lot of it as a group, but then also be able to schedule a time with each of you to sit down and look at your specific business, the parts where you need most attention and growth, because every single one of us has areas that we can improve on, every single one of us. And every year I look at my business and it's like, okay, what went well? What could have gone better? And so in that, what I showed you guys was kind of a version of that with different, parts of the business. We'll look at that together. But I always, for years, and this is something that I know my guys would always make fun of me with the business plans. Because by the way, the manager business plan that I have for them is like, I got it down to 27 pages now. It's like 38. But it was a plan that I was given at 19 years old from Scott Dennis. And Scott is a very meticulous banker who's very attentive to detail. And although it can seem very meticulous at times, and maybe even like, holy shit, like there's a lot of pages, it's stuff to really think about. And it's really taking time as a business owner to analyze your business. And it is a good thing to do that, 2-3 times a year, once a year at a minimum. But really in most businesses, what do? Quarterly reviews, right? Which is every 3 months. For us, we work in campaigns, so we can do a campaign review. So for us, it's 3 times a year. But it's taking time to do both, to do the campaign and do that. And I know that some of you guys do that on your own. Some of you guys do parts of it. You look at parts of it, and some of you guys don't. You're just like, I'm just going to go. I'm going to do as best as I can. I'm going to pick up shows I want to do. I'm going to do whatever. And I know that that's how some of our, manager CSPs operate, managers operate everywhere, business people, period. Because, even for myself, being more and more exposed to different communities, and people that I've met through, whether it's through Tony Robbins, meeting people through BYB, meeting friends of friends of friends in business settings, we've looked at stuff and we're like, man, when I talk to some of these business owners and people who, by the way, are in their 40s, 50s, or 60s, and we're talking to one guy, he's like asking me all these questions, and this other lady had reached out, she's like, hey, can you help me with this business plan? And she's 52, and we had met, and she's like, I love how you talked about everything with planning and scheduling. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. That's something that I know has been that is my number one strength. And even with Cathy, Kristen, and stuff that I'll go through with people when I'm the only service, I'm like, I'm not going to do coaching like oh, I'll coach you for an hour. I'm going to do workshops. If someone wants to come to a planning workshop, I'll do 5-person workshops to plan out a year, and I'll charge $3,000 for those. And I'll sit and map everything out with them. And I'm not going to do it for less, but I'll take time to do that with the people who want to, and really sit down. And obviously with you guys, that's something that I want to do as a DPM, and sit and look at it and say, okay, what are we doing this year? What's it look like? What's the numbers breakdown? Where do we need support? Where do we need accountability? You know, where is it tougher to keep routines in place? What do we have in place? And the number one thing is money. You know, I talked about this before, and I'm going to keep talking about it, but I want to develop the most millionaires in our organization, you know, coming out of GCK, people who have phenomenal financial habits. And I think it's just so important, and we've overlooked it for too long. And I've talked to this with our head people. I talked to it for a long time with Bruce Goodman, actually a couple weeks ago when we were at P-Banquet in Vegas. And I said, I really feel that we're hurting with financial coaching. And I know that there are some divisions that do a pretty decent job of that, but that's just because the manager is so focused on that. I think as a company, we don't do enough of that. We need to have more of it. And they have done better in the last, I'd say, 5 years, incorporating like Adam Stack into different meetings and bringing them around at least. And Adam is, they really do a phenomenal job, but you still have to be invested into it. Because I know I used Adam for years in like 2003 to like 2006 or 7. And by the way, I didn't get anything from that. And I say that because I didn't really pay attention. I didn't really do it properly. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. You know, where even this year, before I would even let them categorize a lot of my stuff. And this past year, I was like, no, like you can't, like they'd always send me what they needed me to categorize. But I was like, go this past year where I didn't even look at what they had categorized. And some of that stuff wasn't in the right places. And so this year when I went to look at budgets and look, okay, where can I cut back? Where can I save? I was like, how the hell did I spend so much on this? And when I look at it, I'm like, that wasn't that. That was my wedding, or like, that was this. And they had categorized some of those freely without asking me, because they always send me the ones for me to categorize. Which they know, like I rent, my stuff, they don't need to ask me each month, what is this? They know if I make a payment for blank amount to Margaret, it's rent, you know? So, but I didn't look at it. And so this past year, as I'm looking on how do I build more wealth? How do I invest more, right? How do I pull an extra, where can I get an extra $20,000 to $30,000 if I wanted to put it into cryptocurrency, or if I wanted to put it down in an apartment complex? My brother and I were talking about buying complexes, buying things over in like Thailand and Japan. Some of you guys like to travel, you know, like Frank, you love to travel. Why not buy places, put down money and go in and say, hey, let's buy a place over in Thailand and rent it out for Airbnb and hire someone to manage it. You have a place anytime you go home, and then it's making you money. You know, and I have friends and people that I've met who now own several hundred properties in Airbnb. So I told my brother about that. He's like, I'm down. I'm like, I want to make investments into that. And so putting aside money and saying, okay, this percentage of my money is going to go into like Roth and, you know, your traditional forms. For me, that's a smaller percent. So do you know what percentage, and I want to talk to you guys a little bit about that, you know, today, but do you know what percentages you want going to what? Because there's the, let's call it stable investments, right? And it's more of the long-term, short return now. Like in the short term, it's a smaller return, right? Or you don't even have can't take it out for years, but it's those like long-term, safer investments that you can make. And then there's the riskier ones, right? So there's the safer ones and there's the riskier ones. Think about real estate. Some people call that a safe investment. It depends who you are. It's still a risky, but it's the safest risk investment. It's either the riskiest safe investment or the safest risky investment. When you put money into a property, you put money and buy a home, you know, that you want to rent out, but like a single family home or something, right? So Spencer and I, the house we're going to buy in Clear Lake, we want it. We're not going to buy a huge, enormous, gorgeous house like, you know, Leanne has right now or just purchased, because we do want to build our home. Unless we find our dream home perfect, like our goal is to build our own home in 7 to 10 years. But right now in the short term, our goal within 5 years is to buy 3 properties that we can rent out for Airbnb or single family homes. So in Clear Lake, that'll be a single family home that we can rent out near good school systems, you know, so that when we do go buy a place, we have like a good house, just like we've been renting for the past 2 years, right? Like that's a great investment when you buy a good home. And there's homes that you can buy here in the area and in the suburbs and in Beaumont. You could buy a really nice house for like $150,000, like single family homes. And you can pay for that. And you guys, with the chunks of money that you make, if you really wanted to, you could pay that off in 5 to 7 years. You know, if you wanted to be a little more frugal, you could go aggressive and pay for it in 2 or 3 years. You could spread it out over 10 years, but paying for that place. And while you're paying for it, you can still be renting it out. And right now that rent is going to pay the mortgage payments and pay what you still owe on it. But then after a decade, it's pure profit. Like you own that, your family owns that for the next 10, 20, 30, however many years you're taking care of that, you know, renting it out. But again, it's going to be risky. How about if it doesn't get rented? And so you have to be smart with where those are put. But that's really good money that you can put into things. So those are, so you've got single family homes, you've got, you know, overseas investments. And by the way, for us, it's very smart for us to be investing overseas in things too, you know, because like the US, I mean, we just don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what stupid things, you know, Trump does, or if you think he's super smart, what smart things he does, you know, whatever side you're on. But you guys all know, you're all smart enough to know the U.S. economy is not super strong. We're in shit tons of debt. Everything's kind of all over. And so it's just good to diversify, you know? And so those are things that I've been looking at a lot more. And I'm like, are you guys set up, you know, properly financially? You know, James has been the only person who's been proactive to ask me questions. And we haven't even had a lot of questions in depth, but over the past 2-3 years where he's asked about like money, talked about things, you know, and there's a lot of wealth you can build with Cutco. And I wish I could have gone back so many years back and been able to be smarter about this in my 20s. You know, so for those who are in your 20s, awesome. But even if you're starting in your early 30s, you know, like Frank just turned 30, and on his birthday, that was the one thing I was like, I want to talk about money. I know that I waited longer than I wanted to really like strap down and make a plan. And for me, that like airtight plan of like, not just saving, but saving and investing. I've been saving really well. I'd probably say since I was like 25. That's when it really like hit strong. When I was like quarter of a century, I was like, oh shit, I'm getting older. I should think about this. So at 25, I started saving, but I didn't have a building wealth plan and an investing plan. And that didn't really come until about 3 years ago, really 2014. So I guess, 3.5 years ago, when I went to Date with Destiny and I was talking to my partner, I said, you know, I didn't realize how bad of a relationship I've had with money. And it was always just like growing up poor. It was like, let's just get by. Then it was take care of people. Then I had more than enough. And it was like, I have more than enough. And I could take care of everybody, you know? And then I didn't realize how I was enabling people, and I was enabling my family, because if they needed something, they just came to me and they didn't really find other ways to figure it out. And then I felt really mean when I had to cut that off, because it was like they'd gotten so used to me supporting everything, where I remember the first talk I had with Amara DeVay, I don't know, 5-7 years ago. I guess it was, I was like 28, 29, but I just remember being like, I feel like all my money, this was like 2010. And I was like, I just feel like it's just all gone. It's always all gone. And it's just like, I'm really good at saving, but then like my family needs something or someone needs something. And I feel like I've been so blessed and I have so much, and I should, you know, give to them. And so that was something where like, I felt this pull to have to support, where in 2014 it was just like, no, like if they really need something, you know, like offering, and it was hard this year. I had to experience with my grandma almost losing her house, and then with everything with the hurricane, like I'm going this weekend to go visit my family, and I'm going to take some supplies and stuff with me. But the fact is, like, my aunt still doesn't have electricity. This hurricane was in September, you know, and there's been a lot of things, but I'm like, hey, whatever you need. And my aunt's like, nope, I'm good. I'm just getting ice, you know? And I'm like, well, we need extra money for ice. Cause she's like, yeah, I just go every, 2 days and get more ice for the cooler. And she has her food like in a cooler. And I'm just like, okay, you know, like, do you want a radiator? She's like, no, I'm good right now. You know, or my mom's like asking for the world, and I gave her a little bit, and I was like, hey, whatever you need, I'll help out with. But being able to do those things. And so having those emergency funds in place, you know, for you guys, and we'll dive more when we get to finance, but it's a big thing on my heart of just like, are we set up properly with finances? Are we set up in all cases for emergencies, for support, for our future, for our families? And really, are we in the know with our money and where our money's going all the time? Because I know 100% for my first definitely 7 and even into 10 years in the business, I didn't know where my money was going. I just knew everything was taken care of, and I lived a great lifestyle. I traveled a lot. And if you were like, you spent blank, I remember one year my accountant, Adam Stock, was like, you spent 80 grand on food this year. And I was like, what? He's like, you literally ate and like literally you shat out more money than people earn in a year. You just ate it and you took a shit. And I was like, whoa, like literally this is our conversation on our accounting call. And I was like, you don't have to be so vulgar. He's like, no, you literally shit out more money than people make in a year. He's like, do you understand that? That's not okay. He's like, you need to cut back on your eating habits. And I was like, okay, and as you're going through that, but that was a thing that I didn't even know. And I was like, 80,000, that's a lot of money, to be like just eating out randomly. And it was just like dumb things. It wasn't even like planned stuff. It was just like, oh, I want to go, hey, let's grab sushi, let's grab this. But I do a lot of nicer meals and nicer dinners, and I buy a lot of alcohol and liquor. And so some of you guys know me now in the last 3 years, where even like Cody and Jacob are like, oh, you're so cheap, you don't pay for all this stuff out. And I'm like, no, I got smart with my money because I spent retarded amounts before. And so now what do? I usually buy bottles before I go to a gathering. Hey, let me go buy a couple bottles because a bottle will cost me $30, excuse me, versus will cost me $30, for a bottle, and I can buy 5 bottles for $150. And well, that can take care of you guys, like 30 of you guys for a couple days, or maybe one crazy ass night. But if we even attempted to purchase 10 drinks a person out, for everybody, that's crazy. I mean, this past week when we went to Bahama Mar on Saturday night, the drinks were $20 a pop. Like I ordered 2 drinks and it was $42. I was like, and I was like, that's it. I'm not buying anymore. I bought 2 drinks and that was it. Cause I was like, I can't do that. I was like, I literally could have bought 2 handles. And I got like a little shot that I went and it was gone. I'm like, really? $20? God. So just getting smarter with what you value. And it's okay to plan like payoffs and say, hey, we're going to get a table and base and do this if we hit blank goal and go crazy. But you can't like do that all the time, not if you want to build wealth the right way. And the goal is to really build your business in a way where you're able to build. You don't want to just, a lot of us in Cutco, we just trade time for money all the time. Okay. So we work to get money. Okay. And then what's nice is we can make a lot of money in little time and then we go roll. But you still have to trade your time for money. And you want to get to a place where you've accumulated enough money and put money in the right places that your residual, the money that's coming from that, your interest, your returns on your investment is earning you at least what you need to live or like to live in a year. Like minimum first is how can you have it cover your basic expenses, right? And then how can you cover like the life you like to have? The life I like to have and enjoy cost me about 180 grand a year. That's what it cost me to like enjoy my life without having a bunch of limits, but just being okay, but going, getting my massages, going to the chiropractor, traveling whenever I want, not staying in 5-star places, but just like, get an Airbnb. And I know that if I'm earning 180 grand a year, I can live a nice, comfortable life. Now, the life that it's really fun and I'd like to costs about $450,000 a year. So how do I get my investments to be producing 450 grand a year through the work that I did? How long will that take? And right now I have it mapped out where it'll take me about 10 years where the returns will be that where like I do not have to work at all and I'm earning $500,000 a year just on returns, And there's different levels and not everyone needs or wants that much money. My little sister's like, if I can have 100 grand a year, I'm chilling, And I'm like, ooh, I eat about that much a year. So I can't do that. But I know that when we get our nicer home, and by the way, 180 is right now. I know when we have like our home and, we have our boat club and we have all these other add-ons, it'll be more like 250, 275 can give me a good lifestyle. And that's like not saving. That's just like my annual expenses, that I'd like to have. Right now, though, it's like, okay, how do I cut back? And cutting back my personal so that I can put more, so that I can reduce the amount of years that it takes to get to that place where I can be with my family, I can be doing mission work, I can be doing things that I love to do, and not have to worry about those things earning me income because I made proper decisions earlier that took care of that. And so I'm chilling, because of my returns and just planning properly. And so that's a big goal I have for our team, all of our leadership team, whether the guys, I don't see a difference to me of like whether you're in the field or you're running an office. The fact is everybody's running businesses. We need to be smart with our businesses. We need to have plans for our businesses, and we need to have great financial game plans. And so that, I really wanted to get time with you guys to just share, you know, where I'm at, and as we're going forward and moving, like I want to manage business owners, okay? Not just kids selling knives, making a lot of money, enjoying, which by the way, you can still be a kid at 40 or 50. And I'm saying like, you still treat it like, you know, like without knowing that if I said, hey, tell me what went to what percentages went to what, can you say of my earnings this past year, 23% went to housing, car, and you know, personal stuff, 37% went to travel and whatever, you know, 20% went to this, 10% I gave away and blank. Do you know where it went? And maybe, and being able to compare it to what you planned. You know, for me, I know we've planned for 25% to go into long-term savings, risky and not. 25% is long-term savings. And so we're doing, we're still confirming if we're going to do 7 or 10% to like safe ones, and then 15 to 20 something percent to the riskier ones. All right. But that's like long-term, not for now. And then I know that 10% is for now to play with. If my friend's cannabis business, they're like, hey, we have a place where you can put in 25 grand or 50 grand. Like, I want to be able to do that. And so I want to have loose money, you know, to just do random investments or things that pop up. I know 10% is going to give away. It's going to charity, period. Like that's going to give away. I know that. I know, you know, 30% operates for my business. And then 10%, and that's where I got 10 or 15% was like for living, you know? So that's like I like plan my percentages when I sat down and did my financial plan for this year. But then, and that's why I want to make sure I track it properly so that next year I can look, oh, what was it actually? You know, cause last year I know I spent 37% on business and I didn't want to spend that. I wanted to spend 25% on business. But I spent 37 because I wasn't watching it. And I was just like, okay, yeah, okay. You know? So it's okay to throw money at business because that's how we make money, right? We spend money to make money, but are you spending it not just where you make money, but where it's the smartest place? If you only have $100 to put into something, what's going to give you the bigger return, you know? And so just being aware of all those things and where the returns are coming from, I think is just super, super important. So I want to pause real quick because I've just been talking for like 25 minutes, 20 minutes straight without stopping. So any just feedback, comments, anything about what I just said right now?
I agree.
I'll take one. Do you have extra or no? Oh, okay. Yeah. Any comments from the computer?
Sounds good. Taking it in. You've got some wisdom. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it. And I'm excited, you know, and the other thing I know I've talked a lot with those who have reached out to me, I constantly talk to, but I mentioned this before and I want to reemphasize, you know, I said like, I have not done a great job of reaching out to you guys and of being intentional about getting time with you guys. And for multiple of different reasons, but this past year I was like, I'm in and I want to build this for a long time, you know? And honestly, before I wasn't sure how long I would be here. It was like 3 years. I committed to, you know, maybe 5. I just hit my 3-year mark, by the way. I'm not going anywhere. But when I got here, the first year was horrible. I hated my life and I was not enjoying myself. I was very sad. It was just not fun being here, you know, and trying to manage people who were just very resistant to everything. And I didn't feel welcomed at all. And I didn't understand why God brought me here when like I had built something so beautiful and that I loved, you know, back home for so many years. And to have to leave that all behind and come here was really, really hard, you know. And 2016, things were definitely feeling better, looking better, going in a better direction with things. I was definitely feeling more at home and built good relationships here. You know, a church that I really liked that I started going to and that I got more involved with. But even that year, it was like, all right, am I staying 1, 2 more years? Like I knew in my head, it was like I committed for 3 and I could possibly stay for 5. But it really wasn't until Spencer and I got together that as we talked about just our vision long-term, that I got, you know, really excited about having a partner in business that was there like long-term. And I really enjoyed doing business with him. And I felt like I lacked a partner here in business always. And as much as I wanted to partner with the different DMs, and even with some of you guys, like there was still a disconnect, you know, and back in Miami, my partner was Andy Janti. That was my business partner. We were business partners for over a decade. We did everything. We planned everything together. We planned all of our stuff, CSP things, divisional things, events, like everything. We did it together. And I hadn't had that. And so Spencer kind of, I feel like, filled the shoes for just having someone to like talk shop with. What should we do with this? What should we do with that? And really being able to collaborate with, even if he just like listens to me go on and on. And I know that, by the way, I know some of you guys, we've talked about this already, and you said, hey, I would love to talk about stuff and talk more. And I knew this past year that being able to connect more with the CSP is something I really wanted to do. But not having a pilot was really hard. And so just so you guys know, like, even though, Mary Lou did a great job and she came here and everyone's like, oh, she's so great. She never ran an office. Like she ran an office the summer before we came here, but it failed miserably. She was never in charge of running stuff. She was always a great assistant. And so coming here in the first year, her being the pilot was really hard for her. And she was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I need you with me. And so 2016, it was like, as long as you're here with me, I've got this. And she felt good about that. But if I wasn't there, things were falling apart. And that's not for any of you guys who have, worked in a pilot, or like, you need a pilot that can run stuff without you being there so that you can really focus on the division and focus on the CSP. And so the division manager having a proper pilot is a really, big deal. And so this year, 2017 was just kind of a whirlwind. Spencer and I getting married. He was still working with engineering. And then Mary Lou decided to leave. She was going to leave at the end of that summer. The plan was anyway, but how things were, it just worked out better for her to leave earlier. We got someone kind of in the middle of that who I didn't know, and that did not work out very well. And then Spencer said, you know what, like, I want to step in and really like do this the right way and build it. And so it was really exciting as we went into this fall to be freed from a lot of the day-to-day activities, starting in November. Like once we got back from SLC in November, it was like, all right, like he was like, Kat, spend more time on working on the things you want to work on, and growing yourself and growing your people, and being able to dive in more with the DMs. And, I came to some stuff with you guys, but I didn't get to do like year planning. I know as we were getting together, a lot of it was going into mall season. So it's kind of crazy time, like once we hit that, I was gone in November, and the weeks I was here, it was just bad timing, getting ready for like getting the booths ready, getting everything set up for malls. It wasn't prime time, but I wanted to, and I'm appreciative again of getting this time and, having 11 of you guys together right now, whether virtually or here with me, being able to at least have this group. And I'll put out the recording to the guys who had shows today and had work and couldn't get here. But being able to catch time, because it's already February. I'm like, oh my God, for me, it's like mall season just ended. We had year and banquet, and holy crap, it's February. Like that's what it like just felt like, because malls finished. A lot of the guys did like their first week of January vacations. We had the next weekend, we had year and banquet. The managers left straight to, Vegas for President's Banquet, got back and worked hard, for a week and a half, and then left on our cruise February 1st, so it was a quick month. And so on the cruise, I was like, I really want to get time to just kind of walk through things that I want to make sure everyone's thinking about. I know some of you guys have already made your year plans, but I hope, and I challenge you to find one or two things that maybe you haven't thought about or put much time into, to spend time really like planning, mapping out in more detail for your year, because I feel that's something that will really serve you. And I'd love to know, what areas, we're going to walk through this real quick, and, what areas are you like, if you had to rate yourself 1 to 5, 5 being airtight game plan, I feel freaking great. 3 being I feel pretty good, right? And 1, like I have not put, or 0, I haven't put any time, but 1, like I've glanced at it, thought about it, but haven't really put time into it. Where would you rate yourself in the different areas currently, so that I know that, and then I'm able to follow up and get time with each of you guys to just look at the areas that you want extra support in as we go into your year. And really, for me, be a proper division manager because I really have wanted to work with you guys more. And it's just been trying to keep the pilot afloat, because for me, it's like, I never in my years when there was a DVM trying to tell me something, and they weren't shipping, I was like, why are you telling me anything? Like, your office sucks. Like, that was my thought process. And like, I didn't have a DBM for a couple years. I was like adopted into another division. Matt King was running 2 divisions, and then we got a DBM. But I was like outperforming him. And so there was a lack of respect. And even from my candidates, there was a lack of respect, because like, why are we going to his meetings when you do better than him? And I'd hear that all the time from people. And I'm like, he's our division manager. He's so great. And I'm like, yeah, but you sell more than him like every year. Like, why are we listening to him? And we were bringing down the silver cups year after year and going through stuff. And so for me, I knew when I took this role, I really wanted to be in a place of leadership and leading by example, where people could really look to our office as like the point too of like, that's what we need to follow. Those are the programs we need to follow. And so that was really important to me. So just so you guys know. And so I didn't mean to neglect you guys during this time at all. I really wanted to establish myself in a position of leadership with our division and our managers to gain more respect from them, because they aren't mine, you know. And obviously if they were my DMs, there's more respect there because they're like homegrown and they know my systems and they know how I work and they know everything. And I just didn't have that. Where this past year, I feel like we finally are in a good place with all of our managers, and super, super excited for this year and what's to come in 2018. It's really exciting. So just so you guys know, in terms of a state of the district manager team, and I know that we're going to be getting reports from state of the, you know, our full-time sellers and the events team and what's happening on that end. When we have our staff meetings, I want that really going both ways. So you guys are in the know, you know, like we're really one team working together to grow, to really to be in a place to create our best life, you know, and using this as a vehicle. All of us have chosen Cutco as a vehicle to really live the life of our dreams. And so what does that look like short term? What does that look like long term for you? You know, I think it's important to look at. And I'm excited about that. So just so you guys know kind of where your managers are at, where people are at. I haven't seen Eric so focused and excited and ready to roll. And I know he's super, you know, pumped for this year. He had some personal things before that also, you know, he wasn't working as hard as he could for different reasons. And it was intentional on some ends, and then other ends, like he could have put more time into. But he's, you know, super focused and has big personal goals for Rebecca and him, and with the baby, and they just bought the house, and, you know, wanting to possibly have another baby, and, you know, having a big gun range and buying an apartment complex, like has some exciting goals that he's excited to go out and work for, you know. Jordan Giratano, also, they're looking at, you know, Chelsea would like to have another baby as well. They just bought a house. They'll be moving in the next couple of weeks. So they are in the moving phase, super excited about, you know, growing themselves, growing their family. And so he is really stoked about having, you know, the right systems in place to really support all that. So definitely, you know, fatherhood smacked him in the head right off the bat unexpectedly, and it's been a beautiful thing. But he's learned a lot, and I know he's in a great place now of knowing how to work better through people, through staffs. And so I'm really excited about where he's going. Kinnamore down in Corpus. So you guys know, like, again, I haven't seen him this matured. Like, I feel he's matured a lot in the past year through accountability, through groups he's been on. He's been in a millionaires group, which I actually told him to freely share with you guys, you know, that he's had a great accountability group with finances, where he wasn't handling finances all great before. And he's like, hey, I met these people and they have this group. And I said, I think that's great. You know, like you want to find places where you feel good, you feel comfortable, you feel supported, you know, outside of the business. And I think it's very important to have in the business, but I think it's important to also have, you know, great growth and accountability outside of the business too, you know? And I think that our company has been scared for a long time. I talked to Dan Cassetta about this. I talked to him in December about this. I talked to him again last month. I said, because Dan Cassetta, and does everyone know who Dan is? Just to make sure. So one of the greats in our company ever. But Dan Cassetta, you know, out west, we were talking about how our company is so scared of losing people. And we were just chatting about how, I remember I had said something about, you know, Tony Robbins, and I wanted to take everyone, and they're like, you take all your people there? And like, a manager had said that, and they are just very anti. And even in the Eastern region, they weren't huge proponents of like going all the time, but Matt King kind of paved that way, and they got more open about it. And Jordan had mentioned, yeah, they don't really support or love a lot of personal growth and development. I'm like, why do you think that is? And Jordan made the comment, because then people leave. And I started laughing. I was like, people don't leave if they're growing. I go, what I believe is the problem is that people aren't growing properly here. And then when they go somewhere else, all of a sudden they're stimulated for the first time in a long time. And they go, oh shit, I need more of that. And so they leave because they need to be stimulated more, and they're missing that growth component in their personal lives and in their personal business. And I believe that that is the issue. Not that they're exposed to, something outside of Cutco. Like, you should be. You should have a life outside. This life is supposed to support your life out there. But are you intentionally putting yourself in places where, again, you're growing? And then for us as leaders, whether you're, coaching reps, you're managing a team, whatever part of the business, maybe you're in a leadership role there, are you actually growing yourself so that you can really bring value to your people and grow your people in any position that you're in. And I think that's important, especially for the leads in different roles, whether you're the event coordinator or you're, one of the managers or the leaders, like, what value are you bringing to the team, and making sure that it keeps you on your game. I feel like it's forced accountability for you, where you're constantly growing, and so each month, can one of you guys bring value from a book you read, from something that you're learning, that you're growing, from a group that you're in, that you're growing with. And so that's something that Jacob's really done a great job this year. And I'm very proud of him. Getting involved outside of, his personal coaching, which has been great with Mike and super helpful for him, but also stretching beyond that for different groups. And I like being involved with different groups, because there's just different groups of thought. And I know Mike does that on his own. I know I do that on my own. I know several of us do that on our own, while others aren't out there really growing and learning. And Dan mentioned, he said, I'm trying to put all these things in place, and I like my guys involved with other things, and I like my guys having other businesses, but that's a scary place for Cutco when they hear or see that, because they just think, oh, everyone's going to leave. And it's like, no, like, this business is such a great foundation for income to put into other things, and it's learning how to work it all and balance it all. And I want to teach you, I want to know, what are the things that you guys want to do, long term? Like, what is, like, if you had to really look and say, what does my, life as a masterpiece look like? And that's something I've preached to my guys back in Miami for years. And in my office, I talk about all the time. And I haven't really talked a ton to you guys about that. But, this was something from when I was little. And I might have mentioned the puzzle and how every puzzle piece fits in. And I'll talk more about that another day. But I really do believe we have a choice in really designing what that looks like and designing our life as that masterpiece. And so have you really thought to look at, what does it look like? What does that beautiful thing look like? Tomorrow I'm going to be talking about this actually on my Cathy Kristen page on Facebook. Tomorrow evening I'm going to go live talking about that. But it's like, when you look at the Sistine Chapel, my brother was just over in Spain and he was sending pictures of churches, and I was like, oh, it made me think about that. And it's like, you look at that masterpiece, right? And you see all the images and you see all the stories, right? There's stories through those specific masterpieces. And you really think about it and think about your life. It's like, what images do you want to show up? What stories do you want, that end thing to say? Are you making a decision on what some of those are? I know there's going to be some that's going to be a little bit of improv along the way, because for sure, regardless of what we want that picture to look like, we're not always going to get there with the exact plan that we thought we were going to get there with. That's going to deviate. But knowing exactly where we want to go and where we want to take it is so important for us to make sure that we are constantly gauging, is our ship still on the right track, right? Or do we need to move it a couple degrees over? Because sometimes it will get off course. And that's okay. That's part of life, right? There are going to be storms. There's going to be things that are going to take us off course. But just, are we constantly gauging, okay, where are we going now? Oh, wait, no, we need to readjust. So making sure that that's really happening. Cool. So in business, I want to make sure that you guys, that I'm going to encourage growth constantly. I want to know what we're working towards. I want to know what you want to do. And I want to make sure that you have a plan that's supporting that getting done. And that we don't go any more years going by without being intentional about that process. And again, I do want to apologize for that, because I know I haven't, from when I got here, that wasn't something that I was very intentional about with you guys. But it is something that's very dear to my heart, and I'm very intentional in my life. And as a leader, I really want to be able to share with you guys things that have helped keep me on track. Ricky's asked me a lot of different times, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay, through the last 2 years, he's asked me different things. And a lot of it has to do with having a very clear picture in terms of the legacy that I do want to leave behind and what I want to do. And so for me, every action, even making phone calls to book demos or, book PRs as a manager, like all those things, it isn't just me booking PRs. It's like another step in the direction of my legacy and like the impact and influence that I want to have for generations to come. I knew for myself, I want to impact 1 billion people in my lifetime. And I hope that one day I get to see like a little odometer up in heaven, and I don't know if I'll ever know that or not, but shit, I'm going to do everything I can to impact that at the highest level. That's something that's driven me for a long time. So, Jacob, he's out there, he's doing that. I'm excited. He's getting married this year. He's super stoked about that. He's super stoked finally about getting his finances in order because he is getting married. They want to buy a house, by the end of this year. They want to have a boat, they want to be on the water. So again, very focused and excited about what he's doing. Wasim has been a roller coaster. He's been up and down over the past couple of years. And I think beyond the past couple of years before I got here, he was still up and down, where, I had a strong conversation in December with him about if you're going to be here, like really be here. And if not, no problem. If you want to be here selling, be here selling. It's a great freaking place to be. Our business is just amazing. You got to find your niche, what you really enjoy doing more. And we really had to dive in. And I was like, if you're going to be a manager, here's what being a manager is about. And I talked about that. And I said, and it's not for everyone. Just like being a doctor is not for everyone. Being a lawyer is not for everyone. We're wired differently. It's not a good or a bad thing. It's just what is. You just got to find what you're, test the waters. I mean, there's so many CSPs that go DM, so many DMs that go CSP, people that go back and forth, I feel like every couple of years or some that literally just switch back and forth every couple of years. But it doesn't matter, and they might enjoy both. I love both, but it's finding your place. And so we had a strong convo and it was hey, I'm going to support you no matter what you do. And if you need to leave Cutco, I'm going to write you the best recommendation and I'm going to make a plan with you to support you. Like, I don't care what you're doing. Obviously, I'd want you here, but I want you to be happy. And that was my conversation with him. I was like, I just want you to be happy. And I don't feel that you're fully living the life you're supposed to live. And I don't feel you're fully using all the gifts that you were given currently, and I just don't feel that. I said, you can agree or disagree, but that was a conversation that we had together. And it was a really great conversation, and he took some time, take some time to think, talk to your uncle, talk to your cousins, talk to whatever. And he came back, he's like, I'm here. This is what I want to do, and I was like, all right, he's like, I'm here for time. I want your help. And so he's super focused. I just took time last week. I was like, I'm not taking time until I know it's 100%. And he's definitely backed that up since our conversation in December. And I made a territory for him. So he's now going to be the north side of I-10. So basically like the 610, like from downtown, I guess, across over to the Beltway, all the way to Beltway 8. He's basically going to be the north side of I-10. So he'll have all of like Spring Branch, some of Jersey Village, into the Heights, like all the northern part of I-10 is now his territory. So we created that, and then we changed up Jordan's where he's getting some more of the south part that was mine as I transition to Clear Lake this next year. So those guys are in place. They're looking good. Dan Hung, by the way, our new district manager that a lot of people were like, oh, you're going to put him out. I talked to him a lot before he went out, and he had certain things that he needed to do. By the way, he won the Germany trip as a manager with the kicker in the fall. He was one of very few to do that. He hit it. He's been top in new business. He's been helping lead our division in new business. By the way, he's been like top 3 since he came and cross-trained with me in the fall. I ran training and he came over to cross-train. And since that time, by the way, he has been top 3 almost every single week in new business of the rest of the fall. Today, he's speaking on the region call. He's been crushing it. He won the Puerto Vallarta trip with the kicker in January. He won the cruise with the kicker in the fall. And he's really making some big moves, implementing, the programs that we're doing in the pilot. And it was really exciting to see him come and implement it right away. And we had a talk too when he came to cross-train. I said, I let you open and you have had your head up your ass. We are not following stuff. And we talked and I was like, it's time to implement and stop being lazy because you've been given a great opportunity, or just go pick a different one, And he came in and he got serious, and it was awesome to see that. And so he's in a really great place. And I know he wants to go after a $500,000 a year, and he really wants support to get that done. So, obviously I share with you guys so you guys know where people are. And I want them to know where we're a team, and to encourage them and support them of like making sure like he's on his game. He wants to have a big year. $500,000 in your first full year is a big year. It's exciting and it's very doable. He can get it done, but it's going to require discipline and a proper plan and making sure he's following that plan in order to do so. But he's in a really good place as a new DM. So I've told you about the pillars. Cody, I didn't talk about Cody. Cody's organization is in, it keeps strengthening each year. Like it keeps turning more and more and the direction needs to be with the recruitment and management and really developing aspect. And something I've shared with him, and I know I've shared with some of you guys, is there's a circle of life. We want to have more reps for you guys to mentor. We want to have more people in the events team. We want to do more market days. We want to expand the team. And that comes from recruiting, and that comes from great managers, that comes from you, Ricky, going out this summer and crushing it, and you knowing the different parts of the business and pouring into people. And can you bring back at least 5 to 7 people to join the events team this fall and to be in Leadership Academy? Could you get 7 to 10? That would be amazing. And to me, you're one of the people that can do that the best because you've been so involved with the team, and them really knowing the benefits of being in Leadership Academy and what they're learning and how they're growing personally and in a leadership position, being on the events team and the power of that, of being surrounded by some of the best sales reps, not just in the region, in the division, but in the nation. We have some of the best, talent, Hall of Fame, like just so many high quality power people within our division. It's insane. And so getting a chance to be a part of that group and learn and being friends with them and learning from them, and having access to them and just the power of that and learning that different sale. You're always selling. You're always selling. You're selling yourself. You're selling an idea. You're selling a service. That is your life. You're always selling. And so learning short sale, learning longer sale, learning, like these are things you want to learn. Because sometimes you have a couple minutes with someone. And so you got to do a quick sale, and sometimes, you're going to have a chance to sit down and have an hour with somebody. But you got to know everything. You got to know who you're dealing with. You have to know how to connect. And so there's different things to learn that serve everyone forever. And we want them knowing what's available to them, So anyway, so Cody, with the programs up there, their CSP team, he is the best developer of 100K plus reps and really getting them to that next 200, 300, 500K that I've seen the district manager ever be, by the way. I was pretty good myself at that back home. He definitely takes it to another level with the 100K plus reps. I know that I believe that I'm one of the strongest ever in our company to develop 0 to 100K reps. I can do that with clockwork, and I've got a handful of them that have developed to $500,000 plus. I think actually like 7 of them that I've developed to over 400 something grand or 500 grand and beyond that were homegrown from my office. But really that he's got some beautiful things in place. And I've taught to him, like, you should be teaching this on a national level, what you're doing and how you set people up, but they're not going to listen yet because managers will not be here long-term if they don't know how to recruit, because how do you develop? You got to recruit them first. You need reps to develop. And so learning that aspect. And so he's gotten stronger and stronger with it, where I feel he really gets that. And I'm excited to see what they do this year. I know he's excited to get on, our PR program, get on Have Systems, and to really serve his people. So when his people go out, they're really going out strong. The fact is, if our people, and this is where you guys can support this, if our people go out and get on the pilot, and now it's not just pilot programs now, by the way. Now it's the Southwest PR program. I taught it in November in the beginning. I taught it in December. They had me speak on it a year in Banquet. Everyone else is implementing it. I'm seeing great things across Southwest region, but it's like, well, all our guys get on that. That's my bread and butter. That's what developed Cathy since 2007 as a manager, really from branch. But since 2007, our $1 million, $1.5 million plus offices was that program. And it's adjusted with the times, but that's really big. So the guys in your offices, when they're involved, and I want to talk about how do we all work together to really raise the bar as we're growing all of your businesses. How is everyone growing together? How's everyone winning together? What does that look like? I want to talk about that. And I talked to Cody about what that looks like, and he was like, I get it. And I'm excited because, by the way, they're in a position right now where that office can jump from they could double sales this year like this. They can jump from doing 800-900 last year to 1.6, 1.7 like this. All right. Now they'll probably do 1.2 and they could do 1.5, but if they really paid attention and had the mashup of the recruiting and the CSP power that's there, like they could literally grow by 100%, which is ridiculous. Like without anything crazy, like just on paper, like very doable with focus, intentionality, and following the plan. So I know he's stoked. I know that he's really excited about developing a CSP team that's producing 1.5 million a year as a CSP team. And then also developing an office that can ship, 750 to a million in new each year and growing that. This year, it's 500,000 in new focus, and then building that to a 750 to $1 million in new business office annually. So a lot of good things. And I know his goal is to put out 10 offices next year. And I said to him, like, the strength of our guys going out now and doing, getting a chance to do our branch program is ridiculous, because the skill sets they learn, the responsibility they get, they're doing a mini term. It's a summer A course, it's 7-8 weeks of recruiting. And then they have July, August, September selling it straight 50% commissions, and then getting to add what's produced from their office to their career sales as well to help them move forward. That's a huge financial win for our guys. And then funneling them right through, like always, through our events program from when they launch in their first summer going into the events program. And then after branch, really getting them involved in a big way. And that's something that we're super excited about. So they've got some big things cooking. I'm excited to see what College Station produces this year. By the way, they should be our number one office. On paper, they should beat my office. Will they? Probably not, but they should. They should. And by the way, my territory now is even smaller. We have a similar sized territory because we split the pilot to be a North Clear Lake and a South Clear Lake. So there's a Lee City and Galveston. Once the branch closes down, it'll go into Lee City or League City, however you say it. And then the north part is Clear Lake, and I'm taking Baytown, Pasadena, and Clear Lake. And then when Pearland shuts down, that'll come over to me as well. So it'll be north side and south side. And so we'll have some strong power, but it's smaller territory. I have a $300,000 person territory versus the million that I always had back home. Here I had an 800,000 in Katy. And so that's cutting down. I don't really care. I know how to run the programs, and it's all PR program. And so I'm just ready to grow and build with our team properly. But we can really use you guys' support with that, and I'll share that. So Cody, Jacob, Wasim, Jordan, Eric, the pilot, as I just mentioned, we're splitting it. Spencer is going to run the south part. We're going to be sharing an office, but he wants to help elevate the game too, because we're having some friction in the pilot because, we have a pilot manager, but they're like, well, is he the pilot? I'm the pilot. Who's in charge? And so it's like, you know what? We're going to have 2 offices. So he's going to compete with them, have fun, and grow together with the pilot manager. So that's going to be happening down in Clear Lake. So we will be right near Bay Street, I guess, and I forgot the name of it, but we'll solidify our office space, but super excited to be down there. We have a bunch of office opportunities over there. Then we have our Kyle Rogers is also someone I've had very strong conversations, and I'm like, hey, this is your year to show what's up. If not, I don't think it's a bad thing, but it might be stronger for you to really grow with the events team, but I told him right now, if he wants to grow, just so you guys know, if he wants to grow his business, and Jonathan, so you're aware, I told him he needs 8 months of focus on being a DM. I said, if you want to pick something here, there, I said, but 8 months of focus of actually building a district office. And then in the fall, get involved with the events team in the fall and beyond, and be involved always. But he hasn't built his foundation yet, and his attention is in 2 places. And so he hasn't built anything. So in order for Kyle to actually build, and I'm like, and I told him, I said, you don't have to build to be a district manager. Why don't you just go straight and work as a full-time sales rep? He's like, no, I want it. He really wants to do this and really wants to show himself. I said, then go hard for 8 months. If you really want to do this, go hard for 8 months, focus and build your district office for 8 months. And then in the fall, add shows to it, in the fall. But right now, build a team, build a staff, so that in the fall, when you want to go work one of the big home shows, you have a staff that can run training for you. You're not just not running training, So you want to make sure he's built the right way. By the way, same thing with Austin Worthington. So for those 2, just so you guys know, you guys need to have a strong 8-month focus. If you want to pick up something here or there, you can, but they need to be running training. If not, they just shouldn't be a district manager. And I'm okay with that too. Now, that's what I told both of them. But they're like, no, I want to do this. I'm like, if you're going to do it, I need 8 months of strong focus on being a DM. And then in the fall, be on the events team.
Wasim
Wasim the same.
The
next 8 months, those guys need to build. Now, if Cody wants to get involved with events right now, Cody can get involved with events right now. If Eric wanted to get involved, which they're not going to, but if they wanted to, they have their foundation there. But yeah, for the new guys right now, they need 8 months to build a foundation properly, and then they can totally get involved with stuff. But they're in a make it or break it state. And so if they really want to make it, they need to focus on that for 8 months and build it the right way. So that's where those guys. So that's our current DM team. And then we have our guys who are going out, our younger guys going out, and I'm working with them. But a big thing when I look at the growth of everyone, you know, like when I look at, and I know that everyone's everywhere and everyone mentors everywhere, but when I look at the powerhouse that GCK can be and what we can do and what we can develop, a lot of it I want to have from 0 to 100K. And I talked to James about this. When it comes to mentoring and growing our newer guys, I really want to do as much of that in-house as possible. And the reason being is I want to develop a strong foundation first before they're getting other thought process. It can get very confusing when you're hearing how Tyler Park does his thing and how Brandon Brown does his thing and how this one does their thing. And because guess what? They all have different systems. They all have different programs. They all close different. And that can be confusing as hell. Like I've had to sit down with my reps who trained with him who were over 250 in sales and break it down for them so that they weren't too confused. Back home. And then even here, I did it with Chavez, who was at 300 something K, was like, oh my God, I'm so confused right now. Like, what do I do? Do I use Brandon scripts? Those are different than the GCK scripts. Do I use it, for the booth? Like, what do I do? And so I really want people strong in like whatever we decide our scripts are, our programs. I want them to have a strong foundation in that, like so strong. It is not rocky at all. And then they can go explore. And for some people, that might take them to 150 or 200 to have a strong foundation. People are different. But I think for sure, like in my gut, at least to 100K, they're still getting their like sea legs, like you don't really know how to sell under 100K. Like, I don't think you do, like I think you're still learning the basics, the foundations. Like I can't just like sit at you and like shoot out objections and you're like, bah, 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 you're like, you have to think still. Like you got to be in a place where you don't have to think, and we have to strengthen that core. And so for me, I'd like to strengthen that core more within divisional lines. I'd like you guys picking up more mentoring or our leadership team, our leadership team really picking up more mentoring or having process. And we're going to talk about how we're not today, but we're going to talk more about what we want that to look like. But I talked to the guys on the boat this week and I was like, I really want to have more in-house programs and mentoring, and maybe there's group coaching for under 100K or under 50K that we have in place, and then after that, then it becomes more one-on-one coaching that they can do, and maybe it's not maybe one person is leading it, maybe it's not, maybe it's the leadership team that's leading that, and that funding is going to stuff there. I don't know. It can look so many ways, but the point is, I want people getting a foundation in similar programs before they're getting confused. Then they can go explore and find their personality, because a lot of it beyond that, and you guys know, it's more personality and what feels natural to you, and finding what you really flow with. And there are different styles that work. I can point out, 5 top CSPs, and they do things a little bit different. I can pick you guys, and you guys can do things a little bit different, and I know that, and that's fine. But I want to have that. So for our guys, having strong mentoring to develop great reps. We want more reps to develop, we should be developing a new, 30, 50, 100 reps a year. Shoot, we have 10 offices. We're going to 15 offices. That's 5 reps per office that are in the 10K plus range. Like, we want to be getting connected right away. People ask why my office has always sold more. Like, I always have like a mentor for my office. Who's been the mentor in my office since 2011? His name is Randy Excellent. Some of you guys have met him because he coached Taylor St. Laurent the past 2 summers. He coached more of our guys last summer because, by the way, he's on my programs. I know that he's on my programs because I trained him from 2007. He ran my office. He ran his own. He came back and then helped me win, 6 silver cups. And so I know he teaches what I teach. So I felt really comfortable with him being an extension of me and like helping coach my guys to be on the same programs. Does Randy have to do that? No, I'd rather have it with people who are helping build our division currently. But I just know that he was on good programs, good foundations, and it really helped our guys develop a really solid foundation when they're younger, when they're younger reps. So I did have reps, 10 to 50K mentoring with him because I know a lot of what he teaches is just pounding the foundations and just is really simple. So I want to have more of that. and really know from you guys, like, how do you see your business building? Where does your business build? Is it through some of you guys, it's at the booth. We're talking about how, like, Chad yesterday, it's like for him, it's a lot at the booth. But for James, it's not at the booth. He wants to build his business in a different avenue. For some people, it's through federal. Some people, like, you have different, parts of the business that you are more excited about or you want to build more through. What are they for you? And so that's something that I want to know too, is like, what part of where do you want to build your business? And I want to go around and know that from you guys right now. If you had to pick, what are your top 3 avenues? And if you had to say number 1, this is the most important. So think about that for a second. What's your number 1? Where do you want most of your production in your business to come through? What's your number 1 source? Is it closing gifts? Is it federal program? Is it gift? Whatever it is. What's your second? Where's the next chunk of your revenue going to come in from? What's your number 2? And what's your number 3? So I'd love to go around real quick and get that from you guys.
Okay.
So I unmuted you guys. Hold on, let me pull up my Google form. You want to go first? I don't know who was just talking.
I can go. Mine's realtor or business gifts, then past customers, repeat business, and then shows.
Okay. So yours is business gifts. And so with
I honestly haven't even had a chance
I can't
to
hear
look
you.
at it. I just got back from a 4-day cruise and 2 days in
who's
Vegas.
talking right now? Jacob.
You disappeared.
All right. Huh?
I don't see you anymore.
You don't see me?
All I see is the word Jacob. Oh, I see you up here. Okay, there you are.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I should be speaking. We'll see. So for you, when it comes to, when you say repeat business, are you, another part that we have now is, what is it called? The service events. So is repeat business for you emailing past customers and calling? Is it service calls to past customers? Is it events, doing the actual service events? What does repeat business look like specifically?
Kind of like what kind of like what it always has been, but just more of a laser sharp focus where I can reconnect with these customers that I've had. And so these customers, now I'm working with second generation, third generation, their kids are old enough now or whatever. So just rebuilding these connections and relationships is important to me. So, and then through that, I feel like, that's just what I love to do. I love relations and friendships. And so I've developed those, and in the process, sales happen, referrals happen, repeat business, stuff like that. So it's just kind of like going out there.
Email program. What's your, what has it been? Because I don't know what's been your focus for repeat business.
Marketing, phone calls, postcards. Sometimes it's personal emails. Sometimes I call them on our birthday, or just call for whatever. A lot of times it has nothing to do with a sell or wanting a sell, but it's just that maintaining of the contact. And also not expecting anything whenever I do a phone call like that is really huge, because they know that I'm just checking in on them. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So it's just long-term, it's planting seeds, and through that it comes in full force. Like
what do you have projected this year, amount coming from business gifts, repeat business, and shows? Like CPO.
Can I pass on that one for a second?
All right, Frank.
I've got my stuff ready, Kathy, if you want me to go.
Frank's going, and then you go.
Okay.
Primarily right now it's just shows. I'm going to be marketing to shows.
What?
So number 1 is shows.
Yeah.
And then number 2 is service events.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
My past customer, my repeat.
Mm-hmm.
This is currently, or what we're looking your business into?
For this year, where do you see your number 1 that's going to be coming in? And so for you, shows, does that split up, or is it like with the shows that you're doing with Joseph, and then the shows?
I'm going to be scaling back a little bit.
Okay, cool.
So.
So more local shows?
Yeah.
Ish, localish.
And really, right now it's so simple where I'm just trying to work 14 days a month. That's what I need.
All right. And with, so service events and then marketing, email marketing, do you have a plan in place for that this year?
Yeah, I've been using that section for the last year and a half, but it's always just been expansion. I've never actually sent out sales emails, so this year it's actually I'm gonna apply the sales emails. Well, actually more just generating people to my events. That's actually what I want to do. And then sometimes I'll do a few sales.
Got it. So marketing for events, cool. And then do you have any breakdowns in terms of what you've percentage of your sales or total sales volume that you're looking to bring in from each of those?
Yeah, if I off the numbers from last year, if I do like I'm trying to do 98 days, the next 7 months, so it'll bring it like 200. I think it was 220. I wrote it down somewhere, 220 or something. Pretty much what I did last year, but in 7 months. But based on what I did last month, I worked 14 days and did 32,000. So it's actually a higher. If I can get better at the booth, it should be better, but a minimum of 200 there.
You're saying from your shows themselves, like at the booth?
Yeah, because any day I work, I'm going to be working at the booth ideally. If I work 98 days, I average 230 in business. That's before I get better. That's before marketing, because last year I never marketed. So if I market and if I actually get better behind the booth, it should be higher.
Cool.
Last year I did a couple of sales and service, but this year I've done just 2 days.
You're saying so off of shows this year, 200K plus, and then off of service events?
Yeah, I don't know because I only did 2 last year, but I've done 10 grand this year off of 2 days.
So 50K plus?
Yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, part of this too, I know you're like, I haven't looked at it, I'm just gonna do whatever. Part of this is just figuring out about how much CBO do you think I'm gonna bring in? Because when you sit down and do your financial model and you look at the investments you wanna make and savings, you have to have some kind of a gauge. So like I know I wanna do more, but I know at a minimum, I'm like, okay, I know at a minimum, my office will produce 1.2 mil this year. I know at a minimum, my division will produce this. So I base my numbers on that. So not necessarily your goal, but you're like when we're doing your financial plan, which I want to look at that with you, it's like on a minimum shows, what do you feel that shows will bring you? At a minimum, you're like 150K, 200K, like just like regular shows. And then how much do I feel service events at a minimum? It'll be at least 50, or maybe like it'll be at least 80. And picking those numbers so that we can sit down and do numbers based on that. And if there's bonus, then hell yeah. Then we're like, then you have the scaled things, right? So let's say you decide, okay, I'm going to put 15 grand into real estate and I'll put down with somebody and like buy a property or Airbnb or whatever the heck. Like, let's just use that as an example. But then you're like, hey, if I hit higher numbers, this is a scaling investment that I'd love to put 20 or 30 or 40, but based on what I'm going to currently earn, I'm going to spend at least 15,000 on that. I have that right now, by the way. 25,000 is going to real estate this year, investment real estate, beyond buying my own home, like not my own home, just other stuff. 25 grand is going to that, but that's a bucket that if I have extra, Spencer would like to invest more like 50 grand into that bucket, so depending on how things go this year, we know that we've got to really F things up to not have the minimums hit, and so that's a really good way to, when you're planning for your financial plans, I'm a big proponent of plan with your bare minimums and then know that if you have extra, what do you want to do with that? That way you can have like some things planned already, cool outlets, a cool trip, reward yourself and say, hey, if I hit this, I get to go $5,000 shopping spree. I think it's good to have those too, but just planning where the money's going. That's a big thing. Some of you guys have read stuff from Dave Ramsey. Some of you guys have heard in different places, but the best thing to do is always pre-plan where your money's going to go. And then, having it tracked. Do you use Atom stock at all or no?
I used to.
So right now, is there any way that expenses are being tracked? Okay. So I think it's a good thing to go back to for wealth building. So whether you utilize him, he's pretty cheap. I'm not going to do it myself. So I like just sitting with them and telling them, and then they make it look all pretty. And so I can look at percentages and numbers. It definitely has value. And so I went off of it for a bit and then I went back on it. Like I said, I had it and I didn't use it and wasn't anything. And then it's been really useful to look at now as I'm like planning like investments and stuff. So just things to look at and think about. Johnny.
All right. So I've got two. I've got a lower and an upper goal. Obviously, like a will do and a could do.
Mhm.
I'm I think my number one and number two revenues are going to be service events and fairs and shows this year.
Which one do you think will be
Uh,
your number one?
what's that?
Which one do you think will be your number one? Your shows?
I think the service events will actually outsell the fairs and shows, in my opinion.
Okay.
The averages are so high at like I'll do between 70 to 100 grand in service events this year based off the amount of leads I have.
So for you, these service events are going to be people you meet at shows plus old customers.
Yep.
And I do want to talk about service events in a little bit because the more we can have pre-planned, it's powerful for you guys because when you're at the booth, you can go like, hey, I'm actually going to be at blank day and just direct schedule them into your service events. Is that already happening?
Yes. That's something I'm working on to
Okay.
like.
It's if you guys have that pre-planned, that's effing powerful as crap, and you're reducing the amount of work that you have to do because right there it's done. And by the way, you could set up Bitly Calendly or Time Trade. Does anyone use either of those?
Calendly.
Okay, cool. Perfect. So that's a beautiful thing because you can just put times and literally just text them the link and say, here, pick a time, and they can schedule themselves when they're going to come. And that's done in 2 seconds at the booth without having to worry about follow-up, without having to pay an assistant to follow up, without like it's boom, done.
We also need some signage. People need to know that the service events exist, and I think I'm gonna pay to have a little sign made to
Mhm.
show like, hey, the next and leave it like where you can write on a marker like a dry erase marker. The next service event is these dates. So people
Okay.
ask, oh, are you available on these dates?
Yeah, but you can also create something pretty that's a color, just a one page that you can pop up that says sign up for our free service events. And then right under it, you have a clipboard with a sign up sheet that has like the date and times that you'll be at whatever hotel. And they can just sign up. So that sheet is just for that location, because it could even be that you guys have a book and they can flip because it's like, we'll be at the Marriott here on this day. We'll be at blah, blah, blah. Like it might be a different place because you might be running one in the Woodlands and then running one in Clear Lake and then running one in Katy. So you're appealing and I think that would be smart because when you work a main show in Houston, you have people coming in from all the different parts of town. So something to think about for you guys, Jonathan, James, is we're putting this together. And if we're really strategizing to maximize these things, is really saying okay, KP, and so they're gonna, have one over West, we're gonna have one here, and looking at some strategy behind that, where this also becomes more of a fair and show type thing because a lot more can happen. And if right there we're signing up, your people from the show are signing up because they live in the Woodlands to the Woodlands servicing event, or they're signing up for the Clear Lake or for the Katy service event, you're going to leaving with a lot more action happening by having those preset. And that's where I think there's power in having that go through. And that's where even nationals, it'd be powerful to have that the events program, having those all pre-done. So it's just boom, and it's fueling that, putting them right back into follow-ups immediately versus think about how many follow-ups we lose from shows for years. That's a huge chunk of business that we can have a lot more orchestrated, systematic, and can produce a lot more. So that'd be really powerful too. Just an idea. All right, so service events, shows, and what's your third one, Johnny?
Service calls and marketing to past customers is my next two. So
Marketing is so big, and I mean, obviously it fuels everything else too. But even with marketing and adding that sale once every, couple months, having a sale that goes out as well is good. You can get some great extra orders from that as well, and driving stuff. And Johnny, did you have amount breakdowns of what you feel service events, shows?
Yes. So right now, my goal is to have 12 service events each campaign. It's a little audacious, but I think with the way that I've set it up where I have 2 show shifts or some sort on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then feeding those people into a service event on a Monday, I feel like you don't need as many leads because a lot of those people that you do meet at the shows are they show up. It's a very high show percentage of the people that you direct schedule. And I found that when you direct schedule somebody, 70% of the time they'll be there. I don't know what those numbers are going to be in the future, but that's what I've experienced so far. Does that make sense? From what I've tracked. Now, that's going to be service events, in my opinion, are going to be between 70 to 100 of my sales this year. I need on actual events, I need to double the amount of events that I have based on my averages to hit my 100 grand for just service, traditional events this year. I need to, outside of that, find time for 115 service calls per campaign. So I have it broken down into 100, 100, 100. And then between team sales, like, people going out and servicing my customers and marketing to past customers, that'll be between a 300 to a 445K year if I'm able to just fill in those gaps.
Cool.
Are you writing all this?
Yeah. I'm not writing every word he says, but I have.
But like each person's like general breakdown.
Yep. So what was the CPO amount for shows? I missed that.
So the shows are going to be 100 grand. The service events are going to be.
I got service events 70 to 100. Then, so I just put 70. Shows.
100 grand.
Okay, so shows are your number one. All right. Cool. And then from email marketing and service calls.
I've set up 10K per campaign just because I'm not that good at it at this point. I maybe sold 5 grand during December on my marketing. So I just said, hey, if I double that each campaign, an extra 30 grand would be something that would be exciting and I can find time for that. And then, like I have this like kicker where it's like team sales, for like, cause I have a guy, Dan, that books service calls for a couple people in the division. And, I get about maybe 3,000 to 6,000 a month in CPO from that when it's rolling. So I put that one down as like maybe like 50K this year.
For what?
For team sales. So like you're setting up service calls for other reps to complete.
Got it. I'm just putting the top 3. All right. Cool. And then Jonathan. Johnny, what's your year sales goal? Let me add that in here.
We'll do 300. Can do 445.
Yeah, there's
top 20 in the company.
That's like a really big jump because you're like must do 300, but your must here shows 200. 100 from shows, 70 from show events, 30 from marketing and service calls.
Fairs and shows, 100 grand. Service calls, 100 grand. Service events, 100 grand. That's what my 3 pillars of my business are. The kickers are team sales and marketing to past customers.
Okay, that's not what you had just told me. All right, maybe I misunderstood.
Sorry, you may have misunderstood.
Yeah, so shows 100K, show events, like the service events, I have 70 to 100K is what you had said. And then we'll go at 100. And then you said marketing and service calls, you said 10K per campaign is what you had said. But
no, marketing to past customers, that's a completely separate thing from service calls.
Okay, so service calls is your next big one, and you're saying from just doing actual service calls, you'll produce another 100K?
Yep, based on my averages.
But aren't service events replacing a lot of the service calls?
Certain customers won't come to events. Certain customers do. So, and there's some people that just wouldn't drive anywhere. So those people stay put.
I just want to see, so make sure to break that down because I want to see what that looks like how many service calls is that per week? Supports that. Sorry, Brandon jumped on. But yeah, because I just want to see what that looks like on paper. I would like to see the breakdown of that. All right, cool. Okay. Jonathan,
can I just share you on this file?
Yeah.
Huh?
I'm just going to share you. What's your email?
Gulf Coast Vector at Gmail.
Okay, it's in your inbox.
Thank you, sir. Frank, your your for sure number. I'd like your guys' must for the year and then your goal. Like, what's your, like, I'm doing this no matter what. Like, I will fight for this number, and then it'd be nice to hit this, and this is what I'm planning my business on.
Well, right. I mean, if you go the last 3 years, I usually do. I'm only doing the next 7 months, but it would be that's usually the top shows with marketing.
What's your goal for the year?
7 months to 230.
Got it. And then Leanne, what was your must and goal? Oh wait, I have you on mute. I'm unmuting you. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Mike and Justin can probably attest to this. I'm not a numbers person, but I can guarantee that every day, every single day, I will work my ass off and it all falls into place. But here's what I'm going to try and break down for you. So must would be 100. I know that's low, but to me, spending time with my parents and kids outweighs money any day. And then I'm planning to do 150 because I love the Bahamas. That's pretty motivating to me. I want to really go to the Bahamas. Pretty jealous of you guys last week. And as far as it breaks down, the numbers might not add up because I just did what you just told me to do, the must do and the planning. So for shows, 15 grand, CGC, 100, past customers, 40, and then service calls, repeat, marketing, things like that. Or no, service calls would be 20.
Sorry, can you say that again? So business gifts?
100.
Okay, and then repeat business.
40.
And then shows.
Shows, 15.
Those are the ones I had written down.
And then service calls, 20. Or events. Service calls or events. I haven't done an event yet, so I'm really excited to do one.
Yeah, I think those are going to be super powerful for you too. All right, awesome. Then we've got Jonathan. Back to you. Or Johnny, sorry, Johnny, you gave 300. What's your must use for the year?
My must is 300.
All right, yeah, I want to see all the numbers. Okay, cool.
I know what it says, but just wait. Just wait.
I like it. I can
Got the
wait.
talent. I just need to show up now.
All right. Jonathan.
Cathy, I don't know if you know, I'm number 1 in the Premier League right now. You know that, right?
About a $235,000 investment per year. One stream. $100,000 per year.
Wait, sorry. Sometimes it mumbles a little bit. 200 grand is your must? You said base camp. What are you saying now? No, 200 is based on what? You're saying base camp. I don't know what that means. Is this your number
Base
one?
camp means that I'm going to sell that no matter what, except for the past 2 years.
Okay, that's your must.
If I don't, no, I'm must have higher than that. But we'll get into those numbers here in a second. What I'm trying to show you.
Okay.
350 is my goal. 300 is absolute must have. That's the number that you're looking for right now. But I want 230. I'll sell 235 grand if nothing changes. I want a federal program that does 100K in my year. I want my mentoring this year. All my mentees get 5. They should combine for. I want me and my mentee team, like me and 5 people, to combine $3 million in sales. That's 5% of 650, which is another 30K income stream. Helping with, even if I take a pay cut or save a portion of coordinator pay, that still should be a $19,000 to $20,000 stream. The team is 1.5 million, which I think we should be able to. I want to do another 40,000. I want to sell 40 grand in marketing alone this year. Another 20K in income.
What are your, I'm so sorry. I'm following the structure. I'm going to sit and get your whole breakdown later. What are your top 3 income streams? What are your top? I know, but there's a lot of words and I can't write it all down. I just want to know. What are your 3, like my number 1 place that my year sales is going to come from is blank. Here's how much it should produce. I got that. I'm saying, what are your
Fair
top
shows
three?
and
Federal is
I
number
moved
one.
base camp.
Yeah.
That's what I sold the past 2 years.
No,
Around
how?
service calls.
I
And
literally,
laser shows.
I literally just told you I don't have exact numbers between those. I know that's what I'm gonna sell because that's what my business is on the past 2 years.
Okay. Well, again, everyone else has been going. If you can take time and just kind of look at it, what do you think will come from shows?
100K service calls.
Do you feel like shows federal program is going to be your biggest this year? Like, where has it come from in the past when you looked at it?
Just here's some shows.
You can say I haven't looked at the breakdown. That's a proper answer. Okay.
I haven't looked at the breakdown. I know that I'll sell 230 no matter what. I was kind of doing it. It's actually that was everybody what they could create.
That's fine. I'm currently going through this. You don't need to get frustrated. I was very specific. I want to know what top 3 places your sales this year are coming from. I'd like to know what you guys are focusing on to like bring your biggest monies in. So service events are new. Those were never one of the top 3.
Because that's what you said.
No, that's fine. You can income revenue. We'll talk about that separate. I'm saying like what are the biggest things that are bringing in your income this year? And it could be my income's coming from that. We can talk about additional income streams. I'm talking about your personal sales income. What are the top 3 places that your sales business is coming from? Where are you focusing? Service events was never part of this before. It's a new thing this year, which is great. Is that your number 1 focus? Is that your number 2 focus? Is that your number 3? So I want to know, like, when it comes to your personal sales business, and then I would love for you to also, which what you texted me, and I put a little note here on the side for additional income streams. What are the other ways you're creating income? I want to talk about that with money stuff. So right now, I just want to know from your personal sales, what are you focusing on to bring your personal sales in? Like what parts of the business? Okay.
Service calls,
So service calls over service events?
combination of the 2. And then federal program.
All right. And are you going to be, and this is just, I want to know, and for everybody else too, are you going to be putting more time into doing service events this year or doing individual service calls, like driving around and doing service calls?
Like I would say probably run 1 service event per month. If I can do that once every month too, and then people I can't see that don't go to their houses.
So you prefer to go do all the individual in the house than to do the event?
I mean, if I can be more efficient on everything, that's ideal, but also I can right? So it's, I'm really hesitant to trust a massive chunk of my business when your program won't charge less. So I will do those in supplement, but that's additional.
Cool. Huh?
No, so I said mainly right now, he's gonna be service calls.
Got it. So, and I want you guys to be efficient because you're already doing a lot of things. And I think that if the service events are set up properly, they can be huge and limit you driving around everywhere too, which will be really powerful and create a lot for you. But let's see here. So I know you don't have the individuals broken, so we can do that later. So next, who's next? Who's got numbers? So top 3 places your business is coming in.
Cathy.
Yep. What's up, Mike?
Hey, if I can go real quick, I'm gonna hop off for a minute to help Dan prepare for his regional talk, but I'll go real quick before I do, and then I'll come back. So minimum is 100. The ideal would be 150. The majority of that will be coming from shows. And the next would probably be, I don't know how you want to break it down, but a combination of marketing and sales service events. So I'm not going to pan out. This is the first year I'm going to be marketing consistently for a whole year. In the past, I've only done spots of marketing for like a month or campaign or something. So I'm signed up to be paying the $200 or whatever it's going to cost me a month. So I'll be doing that for the year. I don't know exactly how that's going to pan in terms of online orders or whatever, but so that's the plan. And then I don't know if you have any interest in my coaching numbers or whatever, but by God's grace, I had my first 6-figure year last year with coaching, and I want to make 150K this year from coaching, and I want to help produce at least 5 million in CPO from the DM.
Nice job. Congratulations, by the way, on your
Thank you.
first figure year with coaching.
Thank you.
That is awesome. Yeah, and when we go separate, I want to look at your guys' financial, like your whole financial stuff. I want to look at separately. I'm not going to do that all here together, but I just want to give you guys some stuff for thought. So yeah, go help Dan and jump back on. Awesome. So.
Okay, cool. All right, I'll be back. Okay.
All right, who's next?
Okay.
Let's do it.
By God's grace, I've actually been able to build a business coaching program. So I think we'll make $400,000 there this year. I'm totally kidding.
Oh,
We're talking about this year or 3 years. Must use 250, goal is 400. And it'll be probably like 100 CGC, 100 business gift, and somewhere in the, I don't know, 1 to 120 in home.
So sorry, CGC.
100.
That's different than closing gifts, isn't that closing gifts? That's what I thought. Got it. So you're saying 100K CGC and 100K row.
100 CGC, 100K business gifts, and then probably like 120 in home. Do them at a service call, whatever.
Sorry, I was just confused because I always get so CGC's realtor sales.
So the way that it rolls is RLT and then PIT.
Yes.
Realtor and biz.
RLT, PIZ, beautiful, thank you. This did not exist when I was selling. PIZ. So business gifts, you're saying you want to do another, I said 75 to 100 for CGC, and then business gifts, which is separate, is another 100K, you said? Cool. And then,
In home should be
okay, so you will not be focused on shows like events?
well, you asked for a top 3.
Right.
It's not that it's not a focus, it's just not my top 3 CPO.
Got it. So in-home is you're focused on that more than.
So the way my business is just like Jonathan had a base camp. That's in-home, fair and show, and some marketing. And that's going to drive the 250. The 400 number is driven by the CGC and business gifts and getting them there at the top.
Okay. I look at in-home obviously different than doing like a show.
Well, they are in-home. I gave it to you.
So I'm just saying show would come if we were putting them on paper.
My show number is 60.
Okay, cool. So that would be 4. Perfect. That's what I look at. Most of the CSPs, as you see with everybody else, normally have shows above, and so that I was just wondering, which I love. I just wanted to. I'm asking questions so I can understand all this. But perfect. Who's next?
Cathy, do you want me to go?
KP's going, and then you can go, Brandon. All right. Go for it.
Go with 150
Mhm.
and the maximum 200.
You don't got a maximum, you know.
I'm done.
No more.
Enough.
Yeah. All right.
You guys know we're gonna shoot for booth at 75K.
All right. So we got shows, 75.
I mapped it out for the match, and then we'll phone sales and marketing follow up 50K. And sales and service events 50K.
Cool.
Regular service calls 20K.
I'll look at the rest of it later. So, all right, cool. So service calls is after that.
Yeah.
So you're going to focus more on service events than actual going one-on-one.
Focusing it.
Cool. I really, really feel that service events are going to be huge this year. So I'm excited.
Huge. I just think we're losing.
But a lot of, it's just a different business. But I mean, what I've seen for years, a lot of the CSPs don't really care as much about the in-home business. So I think it's a great way to get those sales we've been losing with like proper follow-ups, you know. But then there are the in-home reps. Andy's been an in-home rep for a long time. I love doing in-home. Like there's some people that like doing the in-home, but there's some that like they just don't.
I don't necessarily think we need to do it. I just think that's a whole like layer of business. Like, see ya. Like so when you do.
No, I don't think it
I'm
would.
still gonna do it.
It's not gonna get lost. It's just
Well, I've just heard almost all people say, I just want to be food.
right.
I've heard that like 3 to 5
Yeah,
times.
and you're always gonna have like 5% of people that's like,
Yeah,
I would go to see my good customers.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. This year, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll do my top 20%. So like, I was literally laughing with Jonathan. I had past service calls. I was like, no, never mind. I don't want to do that. So I exit and delegate like on my business.
Mhm.
But that's, I guess my point was like, rather than just being like, I just want to get the booth, like we should work on delegating that the hero reasons whenever we're ready, so we don't just like lose.
And you're just saying when you do a service call, leads that you're getting for their friends? Like what does the in-home become when your business is primarily like at the booth and you're doing stuff just from when you started your,
Kind of the sales and service team.
but they're doing service calls or like an actual lead that's like never seen Cutco for the first time?
I don't think people are really asking for leads, honestly.
Okay. And that's where I associate in-home to like new demos.
Yeah.
So you're saying in-home is just like doing a service call.
And new demos.
Service call or call.
Really, in-home, I imagine it's going to be more fair and show generated service calls, where you go and see your top people that are like, yeah, we want to buy, we just don't want to do it right now at the booth.
Mm-hmm.
Then you would go and see them in-home.
Cool.
Everybody else would go to sales and service.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm getting your definition. That's why I'm asking questions. Because
Well,
for
we
me,
all-
in-home business has always been like leads you get for new demos, you know, and then obviously service calls
Well,
you do
I mean,
in-home.
stuff
But
shifting, you know, we've kind of alluded to that. We're trying to figure that out too. But yeah, I don't, it's not really going to be a residential generated.
mm-hmm.
I just don't know.
Got it. All right, cool. Brandon.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you and everything behind you. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry about that here. Yeah, so I have 150 as my like goal for the year, and then 100 as my must,
Mm-hmm.
and then I haven't really broken down the numbers too well, but I was probably most of my business is going to come from in-home demos, like new leads, like recommendations and that kind of stuff,
Yep.
and then probably service calls and then the booth.
Got it. Cool. And you can look at your numbers later. Or just if you guys had the breakdown of what you feel come from each, I want to have that. All right, Gonzalez, are you able to talk right now, or do I skip to Cheyenne?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
If you want to get back to me in a couple minutes,
Yep.
I'm still working out the numbers.
All right. Let's see here. So Matt, Laura, Cheyenne, or Ricky wants to go. All right.
Hey, Kathy, are we just going to be getting numbers from people for now, or?
Nope, I'm almost done, and then I'm going to the next thing. So if you want to take
Okay.
5 to 7 minutes to take a shit or grab food, go for it. Uh-huh.
My must is 150.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is 200.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, service calls. And demos, I'm gonna focus on demos that really didn't do demos last year. 40K.
Cool. Yeah, like Francisco has a strong in-home business, like because that's what like Andy's had his whole life.
Yeah.
It's a very strong in-home business. So it just depends on what you like. Cool, Mr. Lara. Last 3, let's go.
Going for 160 this year. Majority of it from in-home service calls.
What's your must for the year?
160.
That's your must? Okay, we'll chat about that. It's a big must. I like it. I want to see a plan behind it.
You should ask them
Let's see. So Matt, what are your top 3 focuses in the business to bring the sales in?
Focusing primarily on the in-home demos and service calls. That's where I have my highest averages,
Uh-huh.
and then also building shows to where I can eventually add that
Mhm.
into a high level, high capacity.
So in-home is number 1, shows are number 2. And then are you going to also do service events with these guys?
Yes.
It
Okay.
will be more sales and sale marketing,
Okay.
Christmas sales. Yeah,
So in-home, what do you project for in-home?
Probably in the ballpark of 80 to 90K being at home. And the rest coming from,
Yeah, I should have just done percentages, but that's cool. Shows.
shows probably another.
What are we doing?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up right now.
All right. Ricky, top 3 places your business will come from. I'll go back to Matt.
You want percentages, you want numbers? Let's go with numbers.
Numbers, that's what everyone's been putting. But what are the 3 places?
Just 2 places, and it's 189 for service calls and demos. This is my must.
So this is in-home. Uh-huh.
And then 86 from fairs and shows.
All right. Cool. And I think it'll be good for you if you're doing those fairs and shows to also partake in the service event days, like having those. I really see a vision with those, like as many of those being preset around the shows, like where's the show and do we have a couple point spots around it in your guys' cities that we're running these events. And you know, if we are running 3 or 4 on the same day, like if we're in a place where there's enough people that are available to work and it's like, hey, let's book these, you know, being able to do something where we do splits if like your customers from Katy but you're running the Woodlands one or whatever, but you're getting more accomplished by doing that. And then the ones that you want to personally visit with, you do an in-home with them, you know, because you know they're a big baller customer that you can upsell like crazy or you have a personal relationship with, you know. So I think that's really powerful. Matt, do you have your stuff?
Yes, I do. So I broke it down to 103 coming from street.
By the way, guys, I'm going to get these numbers real quick. It's 12:56, and then I'd like to just take like 10 minutes. I want to use a bathroom and like stretch and make a call or check whatever, and then we can dive right back in because I want to talk about how working together. I want to walk through the business plan, some different parts, like just to look at it, and then I'll wrap up with setting up times to follow up with you guys. But go ahead, Matt.
Okay, so 103 from in-home demos, 7 from service calls, 10K for the malls, another 5K for past customer marketing.
Okay, I just want shows and service
I
events.
have all those too, but just give me your
Top 3 would be demos, fairs and shows being 35, and malls being 10.
Okay.
So one of 3.
So that
35.
that's 125. Okay. Cool. And then Gonzalez, do you have yours down?
Yeah, for the most part. So my must, 200K. And my goal is 260.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still figuring out how much I want to do on service events, but my 3 main ones are going to be, or my top 2 are going to be shows. Number 1, about 80 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Service calls, number 2 for 70K. I'm thinking number 3 is going to be service events, but service events and demos are going to be pretty close in CPO, possibly. Service events, I was looking at how many days I'd want to be behind the booth for service events, and still working on the number of days.
Mm-hmm.
But I would probably say 40 to 50K. You can put me down for like 45, I guess. service events.
All right, now I'm pausing because I really need to use the restroom like now. If you guys can look at what I emailed out, I know if you have it printed, great. If you don't, you can check it. If you need it and you didn't get it, if you can ask the neighbor to like email that to you. I want to look at that real quick. Just point out a couple of things before we have our one-on-one meeting.
So we good.
What's up? Figured I'd let y'all see my beautiful face during intermission.
I thought it was your head that was
That too, my beautiful
Brother!
head. So,
What's up, homie?
how y'all doing?
What's up, Ricky?
Missed you in the Bahamas, man.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, where's Ricky at?
I'll be there next week.
Ricky? I know.
We
Cheyenne
found
too.
Waldo, but
Miss
where
you.
was Ricky?
I guess they're all paused anyway. Ricky, what shows did you work this past weekend? I saw you sit there.
It was just one show. It was the gun show.
Did it go good?
It was 4,600 and then a service call.
That's her.
That's good.
Ideally, you know. Matt, bring that over here one more time. How fast do you fuck that?
Do you want to like
How fast do you
order in some like Thai food or what? Huh?
I can't eat no carbs. Cheese on pepperoni. Like eat back bread.
Everyone order something. What's easy delivery near your guys' house? Can you eat veggies? Are you allowed to eat veggies? Yeah.
No, as long as it's not like don't eat veggies.
Water diet?
Diet only. How's it working?
All right, well then I'm not ordering anything.
Chinese food, did you say?
Thai.
Like I get like the curry with the meat. Like,
Yeah.
I can eat just the curry.
Yeah, that'd be good. Just get chicken.
Yeah. So can someone do an order? Can we do an order? So I can keep talking.
Did you order? Did you? I don't never order.
I went and picked up. So I'll let Jonathan order it. So let's see here. I'm gonna give him let's do 2 chicken curries. I'm typing it to him, to everybody. 2 chicken curries. We'll do a green curry. You like yellow? I'm texting him. Yellow.
I like every curry.
Okay, green and the yellow.
I can eat like mixed vegetables like zucchini and stuff like that. Carrots.
Mixed. Plate. Does anyone like pad thai? Does anyone want pad thai? 1 chicken pad thai, and then I'm gonna do 1 veggie pad thai.
What is pad thai?
It's like rice noodles. It's just great. I know I love pad thai. I'm gonna do 1 chicken pad thai, and then 1. Hey, could you find a Thai place that delivers? I'm giving you an order right now. 1 chicken pad thai, 1 tofu pad thai. This is what I'm ordering. Eat it or don't. This is what I'm ordering.
I heard you say pizza.
2 chicken curries, green and yellow, mixed veggie plate, 1 chicken pad thai, 1 tofu pad thai. A what?
Roti prata? Roti prata.
Sure. What is that?
Is there a way to? Yeah, you want to see it?
Huh? Oh, I was texting it to you.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
It's texted to you, and I don't know what he just said.
We love you before you.
Whatever he just said. All right. Let's roll.
When was the last time you saw me at the mall?
Oh, this is what you're talking about.
What? Really?
Okay.
Not letting you categorize
Let's
me.
roll. Let's roll. All right. So,
It's not me.
by the way, I wanted to walk through that.
Quick question.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm gonna ask these guys, why did I keep receiving this shit? I already signed my division, like
Because we get charged by anybody else.
oh, I gotta fill out these three. So you do gotta do a 3-1? Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Everyone has different rules. All right. So I wanted to walk through that. I know some of you guys had it down there, but this goes back to like really being a detailed business owner. It really does. You might be like, I just know this happened. Like it is not. And by the way, this is something that Scott ingrained in me year after year after year. Just because you've done it before doesn't mean it happens again. 1, 2, if it did happen before, you need to know where it came from so you can pay attention to those areas and make sure they're set up to repeat successfully. Okay. So you need to know exactly where it came from in the past and look at it and say, is this going to happen again this year? Do I feel good about that? Some places, yes. Some places, no, because it might have been like something random or like a big pop of a show you can't expect again, or you don't want to count on, but it could happen, but you don't want to count on type of thing. So for me, as a manager in my business, when I look at the business, I go, okay, 70% of my business I know each year has come from PRs. By the way, sometimes it's been up to 78%. So is that something that I want to pay attention to make sure I have systems in place? And by the way, there's times where we didn't have it set up properly and that hurt us because I lost 20-30% of my business because I didn't have the systems in place to handle the growth we wanted to have in those areas. And so it's really important to have things that are, structured, they're systematic, and that's why I'm mentioning like service events. So with these service events, it's huge. There's a huge potential upside. And yeah, you could set up random events when you want on your own. You can also be really strategic if you want this to be a big part of your business, which I think it should be for everyone. Because what you can do is now that you have your service event or you set this or you're running a fair and show, you can lead people to a service event. If I sent out emails to all my customers like Leanne and I'm calling them, I'm saying, hey, on Thursday, I'm actually going to be at the Marriott here in Clear Lake and I'm going to be doing free sharpenings for everybody. And I can send you, do you want me to send you a time so I can do a free? Oh yeah. And you do that, or the ones you want to see one-on-one, like, hey, I'd love to stop by, and you set up a time. But if they're busy, you can say, hey, well, you can swing by the hotel. I'm going to be there this day. But I strategically have things in place around when you're going to do a big marketing blitz and follow-up. I have a service event after that. I strategically have service events right after the shows because I know I can drive a lot of easy traffic to that. So just making sure, do you have systems to really see what's possible for these events? Because I think that a service event could be just like, I send emails, I invite people, and I'm going to get people there. We've seen that already, but we haven't tested it enough. But what I do know is that if I'm talking to people, because I'm following up from marketing, or if I'm talking to people at an event and driving, I will get people there. So just being aware, and that's why I went through this. And I know some of you guys are like, I don't have the numbers or or whatever. And I get that. And you didn't all have everything broken down, and that's okay. And the whole point of this is, are you aware of where things came from in the past? Do you actually have a focus on where things are going to come from this year? So that you have proper systems in place. And by the way, how can you strengthen those systems? Because Jonathan, you might have good systems in place like you've had before, but there's places where it's like, oh man, I could really strengthen this by doing X, Y, Z. And that all of a sudden is not just repeating last business for 10%. It could be a 20% growth in that area. That would be huge, by just having certain parameters in place. So that's what I want to bring awareness to, so it's not like you guys don't have your business. No, it's just like, are you really in the know? And then do you have good systems in place? Cool. And so that's what I really wanted to bring up through going through this process. So as far as, what I sent out to you guys with the email, with the CSP planning document, I know some of you guys had it delivered straight to you and some of you guys didn't have it, but I wanted to walk through. So, I want to get a call with each of you guys here in the next, by the end of February, in the next couple weeks. So I'm going next week to visit my family. I am going to set out some time to do some calls while I'm there. I'm going to have 2 or 3 work days while I'm in Puerto Rico. But I am in Puerto Rico. I go to a wedding on Saturday in Miami, and then I'm in Puerto Rico Sunday to Saturday to visit my family. Or I come back Friday, Sunday to Friday. I'm out of town, but I will be working while out of town. I don't know the internet situation till I get over there. Because like I said, my family still doesn't have electricity. So I'm not sure what's happening. So I didn't schedule anything as of yet, but definitely when I get back, I have times already available. And I want to make some times that are longer for you guys to pick a time in the schedule that we can catch at least an hour just to make sure that you guys are feeling good. Any feedback that you'd want from me, and if it's just us chit-chatting about what the next 5, 7, 10 years looks like for you in your personal life, money saved, places you want to travel, and that's all we talk about, great. I'd love some insight on where you're going and be able to really just catch some time one-on-one that I haven't been able to do that with everybody, and I'd really like to have that. So here, last year review, obviously some of you guys have done this on your own, but looking at, I do want to see those numbers, your averages for last year. I know that you guys had averages with like a lot of the booth stuff. Yeah, so I don't need that right now, but if you do have those and you can send those out to everyone so everyone does know their numbers. Again, this is something we do as managers. I want to look at what was my productivity for PRs, what was my productivity for campus recruits, what was my productivity for, and I want to look at the different types of recruits, different parts of my business, and like what were our percentages with, closing percentage, like all that, like for our business, really knowing that and going, oh shit, we had a really bad closing percentage with campus people in terms of the ones we talked to and the ones we actually had come in for interviews. Like that was really bad, and I can look at where we're good, where we're bad. And then in areas where it costs a lot of money, like a mailer, if we're only getting 20, 30% closing percentage to come to the office, we're losing a lot of freaking money. So I'm like, shit, what do we need to change? What do we need to adjust with these to get us up to a 50, 60 percentile, So I do want to make sure you guys have a good gauge on your numbers. What were you going to say?
I want to say one thing very fast, but guys, I know time of the TVM on this is a little bit odd, right? Like we've never had that before, whether it's Dustin or Cathy or Lloyd or anything like that. One thing I did want to say was Cathy, I'll never forget this day because it's actually what made me consider staying with Pepco full time. Cathy drove up to College Station. We did this 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Spring of 2016, I was a junior somewhere. I had a year left of college, whatever you want to classify that as. And to this day, I still have that sheet of paper. We painted a 5-year vision, right? Of like a 5-year vision of when I was, all the way up to when I was 30 years old, and I was basically a junior in college, right? And so and her question, when can you have 50 grand saved before you graduate college? When can you save 50 grand in a year? When can you save 100? When can you have 100 in the bank? When can you save 100 grand in a year, right? Mm-hmm. And they're not exactly business plans, but it's just like a vision, right? It's a 1, a 3, and a 5-year vision. And like I said, I still have this in a spot where I can look at it every single day. I'm like, hey, this is if I want to have this at this age, I need to save this much, right? And what's cool is on the high end, if this year goes right, this is the year that I actually save 100 grand. My first full year in the business because I had that vision. Right? I'm not saying I will, but there are numbers out there that are achievable because I took this exercise seriously. And when she sent out that CSP planner, I was like, oh, this looks familiar. We've done this before, right? Mm-hmm. What I would be excited to see is all y'all take this seriously. We can kind of help out with the tools. I don't mean to take anything away from this. You're probably, if you haven't done this sheet already, this packet, you're not going to have it done today. But I would strongly encourage you to have it completed all the way, fully serious by the time you have your one-on-one.
Yeah, it's really powerful. And again, it's nothing you have to do. It's not like you guys have to do this, but it's something I really encourage you guys to do. And honestly, the only reason I got it done with James is because James reached out to me. Hey, can we get a planning session? I was like, absolutely. I love going through this. I love doing this. It's just something that I haven't, prioritized before. And again, for a variety of different things. So this right here, and thank you for sharing that. And
the other thing, I'm not entirely sure they know how to figure out their averages. I have mine done. I show people, now might not be the best time, but we have a cable to hook stuff up, right? So if you want, I can
Okay,
walk
we can do
through
that at the end
actually
while we're
here's
eating.
what happens.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We can record it. I can record it as a separate video so that if somebody just wants to watch how to do their averages, we have that recorded. That would be great.
Or I can just do it on your screen, or whatever's best.
Just so it's separate, so someone doesn't have to go through 2.5 hours. So that would be awesome. So yeah, so what went well? So personal, business, this next year's goals. And so knowing why, I know from talking briefly on the boat, that you want to go travel in Europe for a while, and go do that and go backpacking and, whether it's 6 months or a year or however long, you want to go, but just having like, and the whys behind it. And it's like, why, do you want to do that? Why is this important to you? That's huge for as you're working and you're going through stuff, and then bigger picture thinking too, because when you really start thinking a lot about finances and setting yourself up to live that life long term without having to work, sometimes it's like I'm okay this year sacrificing a couple of things where I'm like, this is gonna move me leaps and bounds, by like literally cut back like 5 extra years of not having to work. If I just adjust this, and instead of going away for 3 months in a row, I'm just going to go away for 3 weeks here and then come back and then go away for 2 weeks and then come back, and then if I want to do, I'm looking at the fall, I might do a trip where I'm gone for like almost a month, but that's going to help me reduce 5 years on my, plan versus just being gone for 3 months straight right now. And if I can just wait 3 more years, in 3 more years, I can go away for 3 months straight, which I want to do down to Australia and Thailand and just be down in the Pacific for 3 months straight, so, but I have it like mapped out, and I could do it now, but it would really set back my like goals for family and money, like the amount of money that I want to have saved up. So anyway, just being strategic with stuff. And is one person's plan everybody's plan? Absolutely not. They're all so unique, so it's important we know exactly what it is that you want to accomplish, not just now, but for later as well. So you've got sales goals. And again, it has here like the breakdown of what's fair and show, what's follow-up service calls, what's demos, new leads, what's past customer business, which is more marketing and calls, what's realtor business gift orders, web portal, on here we can add the service events now, or that can just be in our service calls. You either do them live or you do them at the event, but they're service calls. You can bunch it how you want. Looking at your, averages, then the next page talks about your 3 to 5 year, and then pick 1 year, short-term focus. But what does your 3 to 5 years look like in these areas? This is really big. I'm going to talk about this tomorrow, like out in the world of the internet. But have you taken time to look at what do I want? What are my, physical? I just put together. I'm really excited about it. I have to find someone to design it and make it look pretty. I drew it out on paper. I made a little book. And this is something that I want to get pretty, so you guys can do it. This is something I put together because I was just like, I have friends all the time who like ask me about like, I get a lot of shit knocked off my dreams list every year. Like every year I know what I'm knocking out next every year, and I love it. And it like, when I'm working, it drives me to work, and like, and it's all like knocked out. It's my little book. It's called Life is a Masterpiece. And it's 7 steps to designing your life as a masterpiece it was meant to be. So I'll have this out. And so the first thing is a dream session, which will actually be 2 pages and little clumps with like different categories and stuff. And then step 2, I have identify your top 20 non-negotiables and why. And so from that whole big list, what are your like, this is not negotiable. This is not like it'd be nice to. This is like, this is happening. And why is that important to you? And having that put together, Then the third thing is to then, and I'm going to have it prettier, but identify which are the ones for 1 year, which are the ones for 3 to 5, which ones are in the next decade, and which are in my lifetime. Because there's some like, I want to do a ballroom salsa competition. I don't have a time frame on that, but I know in my lifetime I want to. That might become a 10-year goal when I'm in my 50s. I don't know, but right now it's just in my lifetime goals. So looking at which ones are like for now, for this year, and then 3 to 5 years, and then decade, and then later. Then the next thing I have is breaking it down. And so this is stuff that I want to do with you guys, but I had to break it down. What actions need to be taken monthly, weekly, and even daily to accomplish your goals? So what do you need to be doing monthly? What do you need to do weekly? What do you need to be doing daily in order for this to happen? And some of them you don't have to necessarily do stuff daily, but some you do. Then step 5, I have schedule it in, and I put it on like goals are a pure fantasy unless you have a specific plan to achieve them. So having like what actions stated previously you have to do. And maybe it's stuff with like your health. There's different things, right? So like with my health, I have to, an action is sign up for the kickboxing gym, and that's going to be done by next week or whatever. So it's like an action you need to take to get those done, date and time of what's going to happen, and then notes. But giving yourself deadlines, if you actually want to move your goals forward from just being like, oh, I have all these goals and you never do them, to actually doing shit, and accomplishing things in your life. And I feel like I could pass away tomorrow and I've lived a very accomplished life, and I've really enjoyed my life, and I've knocked out so many things, and it's been really fun. And every year, like, I've been able to do the things that I wanted to do, that I had set for that year as goals. And that's really cool to look at that. The sixth thing is, and this is big, is know the price. And what I put here, I'm like, what would it cost you to not follow through with your plan, right? Like, be as specific as possible, with action. So I said, do it with at least 5-year actions, but it's like this action. Well, what would it cost me not to execute it? And then why does that matter? Right. And so, and really going deep, and why is that important? Because sometimes you have a goal and you're like, whatever. If it's whatever, if you don't hit it, it's whatever, but if it's like, by me hitting this lets me buy a house for my parents, which means and if I don't do it, that means they can struggle always mad at me, put stress on them, and so just having things that really resonate deeply, where it's like, shit, no, this has got to get done. For me with health, it was like not taking care of my health meant not being able to play with my grandkids, or maybe not even being alive to see them, or great grandkids. Like, that to me is a lot of leverage, because like, I definitely want to have that in my life. And if I don't take care of my health, I'm not going to have that. And so that's what I've like put for myself. And then, step 7 is just like committing to it. And so whether it's for yourself, with other people, having accountability, commitment to yourself. And I just put like some bonus things to do with like, daily affirmations, visualization. Do you have a vision board? Just different things that you can look at to just remind you of why you're working. Or even for you guys on demos, or you're doing service events. I mean, I know Andy still has this in his blue book, but he was more of an in-home demo rep. I love having a little mini vision board, like one of the sheets in your blue book, the first page, even when you're meeting someone or you're doing a service call, that they know about you, that really lights you up and shows like your house, the travel places, the house you want to buy for your mom, a picture of your mom, just different things. Because when you talk about it, it's a constant reminder for yourself. Like, it's a subconscious trigger for you. And it really brings out true, authentic excitement about what you're doing and where you're going, so go ahead.
I just want to say, like, learning that from Jason Jeff's great, which I kind of taught some of all, like, without fail, all the top people, all of them do what she's talking about right now.
Yeah, I've made my reps do that for over a decade.
And Jason taught Jonathan and I, like, do that to build rapport with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's the first thing I see every time I open my computer.
It's a reminder of everything I'm working.
My service call, it doesn't matter. It's my goals and dreams.
Fires you up.
That's a daily reminder.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's really powerful. So again, it gets them to get to know you, but yeah, it's a huge, like, it's a subconscious trigger for yourself that really helps keep you on track when you get to see that all the time. So that's why I have here the little dreams list exercise. Then the next thing is financial fitness. So this is a big, for me, the dreams list and the financial fitness are the two biggest things I want to spend the most time on our call. So everything else, I want to look at it and make sure, like, oh, what are they? Just so I'm aware. And if I see something where I'm like, oh shit, we got to fix that, then we can dive in, or, like, schedule another time to focus on a specific area. Because sometimes I've seen some of my CSPs, like, closing percentages or averages, and I'm like, what the hell, and we can fix that. We can adjust. I know even with them too, when I got here, we made a couple adjustments that helped their business. Yeah. So anyway, but I am a really good sales rep. So I know that I can see certain things and be able to, like, give some tips and keys in that. So you guys are blessed that your DVM actually sold, where not all DVMs have. Not every manager can actually really help guide in a sales field, where that's actually something that I'm very strong in, is the personal, selling field.
This table comes, what? And there weren't shares with it?
Yeah. So it's a little bit of my value. Huh? Yeah. Jonathan needed a new value talk when I moved here. Anyway, so you have your financial fitness, so you have your business expenses, making sure you have all that. You have a personal assistant and what you're paying them and anything that's happening, but just knowing all your expenses for the business, knowing all your personal expenses. Do you know exactly what your personal expenses are? And then matching them. That's what I'm looking at. Like today, I was like, ooh, we spent too much on clothing this past month than we had budgeted. And then I was like, well, I was doing photo shoots and stuff. So but I'm like, I got to be careful with that and not like spending, but being able to look at it, of like what you have allotted to these things. So knowing your prepaid expenses, and then also how much you're giving to something like groceries, we're allotting for groceries $1,000 a month. So, which is really hard because we used to spend $500 a week for groceries. And we were like, all right, we want to cut back on that. So what are we buying? Where are we getting stuff from VitaCost that's cheaper? Let's join or see what co-ops to get cheaper veggies, organic veggies, than paying for organic veggies at Whole Foods, right? And just getting creative because there's a lot of things out there that can help you cut a little bit of cost here, a little bit of cost here, so just being smart with that, but just putting those in place. So then you have debt reduction. What do you have? Some of you guys have existing student loans, credit cards, different things, car balance. So what does that look like? So we can look at your expenses. And then guys, it has the must do. So in order to break even with your expenses, what do you have to sell to just pay the bills, So we can look at that to fill your emergency fund. So how much do you need in your emergency fund? I recommend in your emergency fund, 3 months of personal expenses. Cool. That's my recommendation. At a minimum, you should have 2 months. But your emergency fund, God forbid something happen, and you're somewhere and you jump off of a cliff into a water in this awesome tropical place, like, yeah, and you freaking crack your head and you got to go to the hospital. You've got all these hospital bills to pay and you can't work for a couple months. Do you have funding in place to take care of stuff? Cool. That's why health insurance is important. And some people don't do health insurance. And I get it. I didn't do health insurance for years. I did sometimes, I didn't other times. I just got back on it. But if you're doing a lot of things, if you're traveling, if you're doing crazy stuff, you should have health insurance. It's going to cost you a lot more with one thing going wrong than to have that. So just being smart with that, and depending on your lifestyle, I can make suggestions with that. But emergency fund is important. How much do you want to save for a retirement fund? So that's your, should do. And then could do, this is, you fill the emergency fund, you have heavy investment, and you're able to treat yourself to nice things. So the extra, where's it going to go to? By the way, traveling for me, and I know that would be the case for, it seems like Jonathan now. I know that would be something in Frank's. I know that's something in KP's, just by your guys' lifestyle, that travel that should be part of your expenses. That should already be in your expenses. So I know I have budgeted each year at least 20 grand for travel. Most years it's 30 grand for travel that's budgeted in out of my pocket, and then extra, it's like if we hit blank goal, then I could spend the extra 10 grand to go to Bali for 3 weeks that I want to do, so then I have contests for extra, but I already have a certain amount. And so you pick that amount for you. But if travel is a big part of who you are and what you love to do, that should already be in your planned expenses, at least some of it. Cool. So when you're doing that or your breakdown, then you have your schedule. So this is really big. So I was helping with somebody, it's like how to get it all done, right? And so this is a big part of what I do and help people with in and out of Cutco, like friends of mine with businesses. And so I was helping one of my buddies with his company the other day. He's like, I'm just feeling, how do you do so much? How do you do it all? Because don't you get overwhelmed? And I go, yeah. And this is what I was sharing with you guys of like, what do you have to get done? Make a list of everything that has to get done on a weekly basis for your personal life and for your business to run. Everything from like pick up the laundry, feed the dog, get groceries, like every single thing. All right. Write it down. Put it into 3 categories. Category number 1. All right, is mindless things. You could go both. I could do it both ways. I've done it with like the things of you only. But one of the categories is mindless. Who can do those mindless things? Some things you can actually now schedule them. Instacart. You can do your groceries on Instacart and have them delivered over. Depending on what your business and what you have going on, that'll take less time. Or go on Amazon Prime. You can order a lot of the stuff. Maybe not your like raw meat, but you can go get it from the store real quick. So. That, by the way, yes, and you can order a lot from like organic, grass-fed, cheaper, straight order to you that's frozen. You take it out as you need it. And for our lifestyles, I recommend that. So even Oh my gosh, there's a bunch. I got to ask my dad. You can just, you can literally Google organic red meat to your door or just whatever, and things are going to pop up. But my dad has one that he uses. I don't eat meat. I know they exist. What I did order, which I need to pre-order again, is I ordered wheatgrass. And you can order, and they send it the day after in freezer packs to put it straight in the freezer. And it's 100% organic, and it's cheaper than going to the store. So I end up paying like $1.70 a wheatgrass shot, or when I buy the big bulk, I think it's like $1.40. But it's like pure from the best of the best, air, blah, blah, nothing burned out, where when you put it through heat, like it burns some of the nutrients. And at any place, I'm going to pay at least $2.50, So again, it doesn't seem like a lot, but if I'm doing wheatgrass every day, all these little things, it's like, where can you cut back? So, but I also don't have to go anywhere. I can wake up in the morning, boom, done. That saving time of going to the store to get it, to get fresh wheatgrass is also costing me money because my time is money. Right. So where can you be smart with things? Any admin things? I use Odesk. Or you can use different things. I have some connections in the Philippines because Cutco has a lot of workers with our text to schedule programs over there. And we actually know them personally and know their families. And so I gave extra work to some of them. But let's say you wanted to message like all your customers, there's apps now. I was watching Luke Mills. I need to get the names of the apps, but like texting apps, and you can download or export all the names from your phone or, all your customers' names in your Excel sheet and put it into this app, and you can shoot them all a personal text. It's like, hey, Julie, how are you? It's your guy, Frank, your Cutco guy. I'm going to be at whatever, and just wanted to shoot you a quick hello and let you know I'm going to be in Corpus for a service event, like, let me know when you have a minute to chat. But that text goes out to several hundred people in 30 seconds. Boom, done. And all of a sudden you get replies. And you're like, how are you? How are you? And so that initial part was done for you. So just looking at things like that, what are things that are easy, quick, automated, save you time and money? Some people say it's just save money, and they're like, I'll save money, I'll do it myself. Sometimes that's not smart because you're spending time doing things that during those hours you could have produced a lot more, So it is good to hire an assistant for $8 an hour tasks. Your time should be spent on $100 an hour tasks, okay? So it's just being smart with that. And knowing, okay, what is an $8? And by the way, when you're using Odesk for admin stuff or anything like that, for that, it's $3 an hour, by the way, $4 an hour for high paying jobs. So any numbers you want to put together, statistics, you have a newsletter, let's say, for your music business, you can give them a template of what you use. You can show them what resources to update it or what you want, and you can let them handle that, and you pay them $15 or $10 to like update everything for you with whatever content. Here you go. You can go to Odesk, it's Overseas Desk, and you hire people from overseas, and you can interview them, and they're very they take a lot of pride in their name because you're like, oh, how can I trust them? Company, there's a lot of background, kind of like Airbnb. I don't know, I'm not going to get killed. Like, there's a lot of background stuff. Like, you could get killed, you could get screwed, but there's a lot of background that goes into that. And especially these people are like, these are really high paying jobs for them. $4 an hour is a really high paying job. They don't want to screw it up. So they're really hard workers, man. They take a lot of pride in their work. I love the ones from the Philippines, are my favorite, but all like overseas countries, and you can hire very cheap labor. So anything that's cut and paste, anything that's
Cathy.
yeah.
There's also a really easy to use app called Upwork. I've used it for pretty much everything outsourced. They're like reviewed, and like if they don't have 100%, like they're working towards 100%. I've never had really issues other than a few miscommunications because there's a little bit of language barrier, but not much.
Right. Upwork. Odesk and Upwork. Those are options you can look at. But yeah, just think about anything that's admin, anything that's pull reports, anything that's make it pretty or design even. There's very talented people that just happen to live over there, and their cost of living is very low, and they're also how much they make per week. They make $25 a week on average, and support their families. So anyway, you can get some great work. BASE, can you put it in the group me? Texting base. So to text customers and stuff. So look at that. Does that work for iPhones too? Because he was telling me he was using it on an Android.
No, that's this stuff too. But yes, that texting base works. That's what I use for service.
Okay, cool. So texting base. So that is something like that. So again, so list number one. So once you have your list of everything you have to do on a day-to-day basis, the first list is what is everything that has to get done that anybody, if I give them instruction, can do. And they don't have to be super smart. They just need to like follow instruction. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then number 2, the second group of things that you need to classify, what are all the things that somebody who's smart like you can train, and they could duplicate your efforts. Okay. And by the way, this gets sticky because in the third group, or I call it the number 1 group, whatever, I've spelled these out 3 different ways. It's you only. And not even, because some of those I can even hand out. But yeah, things that like you personally only can do. All right, or $100 tasks you can include in that. But you can only do. Meaning, I'm not going to call an assistant to like go give my husband a hug. I need to do that. I need to go on date night with my husband. I can't hire someone else to do that. I mean, I guess I could, but that'd be weird. You know, like I need to call my dad. I need to talk to certain clients. I need to do certain things. So again, that's you only. Now, by the way, there's a lot of things that are you only that you're like, it's Frank only, but that's just because of ego. We leave a lot of things in our us only that we don't put into the second group because we know we can do it better. But there's smart people who are younger, who are 16, 17, 18, who want to be trained, who want to be coached. I mean, think about us when we were younger. Like someone could have hired me at 18, 19. I was going to do a badass job with whatever they gave me, you know? So again, the 3 groups, you only, all right? Someone that you can train to be like you. They might not be you, but they're smart, they're capable, they're trainable, and you can have them do negotiations. You can have them call people, call customers, do whatever. And like they have to be, and for me, that person has to be smart. They have to be coachable. They have to have a great attitude, great personality, because if they're going to be duplicating me, they have to get along well with people, you know? So that's my ideal person. Because if they're not good with people, then there's more tasks that are on me now that I'm going to have to handle because I don't want them doing the people skill stuff. They can do everything else. And then again, the third group, mindless stuff that you can, just hire someone to do for as low wage as possible. Cool? So that basically is this next section here where you're going through. It doesn't break down all that right here, but it's like do the schedule. So what I just gave you guys is I was talking to him about it. It's what I do in my life. And when I coach you, I'm like, put all your shit down, put it into 3 categories. You only, someone hired who's smart as shit, can be trained to do and great with people, and then mindless work that anybody can do that even has no brain, but they can follow in as okay? So then you have your ideally week schedule. What does that look like for you? The stuff that you're doing. By the way, that should include, when are you talking to your personal assistant? When are you giving them instruction? That needs to be in your plan, because if you don't guide them, then you're paying for nothing, they're lost, so just making sure you have, if you have assistants, that you have time planned weekly to spend with them and to walk through stuff with them, okay? The next section is program focus. So again, action plans for each area, like how are you improving the different areas of your business? Then you have professional growth. What are the areas you want to work on? So pick 3. So I'm big on this too. There might be a lot of things you want to focus on, but you just want to pick 2 or 3 things each year that you really get better at. So whether it's your public speaking, professionalism, being able to pitch to someone real quick what you're doing, whatever it is, but just pick 2 or 3 things professionally you want to get better at. Then also personally, so personal growth related, what are 3 things you want to get better at with personal growth? And so I have different ideas there that you guys can use or pick from. And by the way, it's just a combination of so much stuff we've heard through the years. This specific document, I definitely stole from Drew years ago, but it was like put together. I'm like, oh, it's put together, because it's stuff that I learned way before I ever met him, but it's just nicely put together. So personal growth, you can go through that. And then it has here, and I really want to know this from you guys too. This is another thing I'd like to know. What are areas for improvement within our FSM CSP team? Like, what do you really see as some areas for improvement? How do you see us doubling FSM CSP sales within 3 years? How do you see us building our team for the future? As a mentor, how would you coach tier 2 or tier 3? What can you do to impact the team? What can the manager do to help you hit your goals? What can your peers do to help you hit your goals? And then you have here, the last page is just to-do list for this week, this month, things that have to get done. Cool. So again, I know it's a quote unquote long document. Sometimes people are like, oh my God, so many pages, but it's good things to think about when you're sitting down planning for your business.
Have you sent that already?
Huh?
Have you sent that document already?
I did.
Okay, cool.
I emailed it 2 days ago. Did you get it?
Let me check.
I sent it to Johnny Ab with 2 B's at Gmail.
Is it
Okay.
Yeah, CSP planning doc.
I'm about
That's
to
what the
send out-
title said.
I'm gonna send out the link to your fair and show numbers. The tabs are split into regular events and then malls, and it'll have your annual sales, your shift average, and how many shifts.
So we have to add malls to regular averages to get the what we did.
I mean, from my business, I do them totally differently.
Okay.
It's up to you. Just know where things came from. Look at
Malls
it.
are not included in the event.
Okay. So I want to go around before we wrap up. Did we order food already?
I don't see that, Doc, by the way.
Sorry, I'm
someone
not on my
resend it?
text. I didn't see your stuff before either. Let me see. So we haven't placed it yet.
I'm about to,
Okay.
but I need confirmation.
Hey, Kathy, can you switch the email from that you used for me from JohnnyABB to John.ABB432?
Yeah, just text it to me, please, so I can do it right now. No, it was just for more veggies. If they had any grilled veggies, cool. If not, doesn't matter. Do you want a salad, Frank?
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, good. Add a salad. All right. So if we can go around real quick. I'd love to know just biggest takeaway from here so far before I wrap up. I have some final thoughts before we wrap up, and I was hoping the food would be here soon, but we'll see how long it takes. And then we can do the how to break down your numbers. I can do that in a separate video. So let's go through. Johnny, you can start us off, and then I can mute you out. Some weird noises.
Somebody's making weird noises. I don't know. It's not me.
I just ordered to like, there's always extra. We don't have to have enough for the enough people here. Like a little buffet. All right, so biggest takeaway from our time so far. Johnny.
What's up? Biggest takeaway?
Correct.
From?
Our time so far today.
I would say that the biggest takeaway so far is what you were talking about just now, that CSP planning document. I'm really trying to take myself out of the business a little bit to focus more on planning and just managing my business rather than the business managing me. So I think that to me, like, it's giving me a lot of really good nuggets because this is something I've never really done before, is plan out an entire year. And and since it's new, it's like kind of like, just like riding a bike for the first time. So that would be really cool to have that document. I had some other notes here too. Let's see. I don't know how to put my notes, but there it is.
All right. Well,
and the also thing is the being able to set time in my schedule to manage my assistants, outsourcing to who can do what. So that was probably my biggest things.
cool. And that goes a long way, by the way. When you actually do that, you're able to like really focus your time on the big needle movers, and still get everything taken care of. And so many times we get caught up with so many of the little things, and we don't have time to do the big things. And a lot of the little things take a lot of time, but like anybody could do them, So when we plan ahead, it's really amazing how we can shift that. So cool. Who's next?
I'll go.
Go for it.
Biggest takeaway is the CSP, the planning document, and then also being more analytical on where my money's going, in terms of finances and saving and putting money to travel and having it all.
Just planning it, like being intentional.
Just be intentional, be more intentional where my money goes. And you said something about how you had enabled your family, and I realized I've probably done that with a lot of my friends. And so cutting back on that.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay, so I just need to break down everything, like plan the day, like hour by hour, like have a morning routine, just being more intentional with that. Also, where my finances are going. Just breaking everything down. Me and Wilson are gonna have a planning session here probably in a couple of days. Just budget breakdown ultimately, because I was not good with that this year and this first chunk of the year. But now, since I'm really digging into my business, I'm cutting back on a lot of travel and everything like that, just so I can have a breakout year this year. And just being more intentional in planning, delegating a lot of things. I talked to Johnny yesterday about there are some things that I just want to do everything myself. But I know that there's a lot of things I'm like, I can get someone else to do that and be more efficient with my time.
Cool. And it's crazy because seriously, like the amount of income that you can earn here, as like people go to school for 8 years, 12 years, beyond, to work their way up the ladder for years to be able to earn a 6-figure income, you know, and it's just, it's amazing. It's amazing the income we're able to earn, and then the time, right? And people get 2 weeks paid vacation all year. And it's like I would die. I'm like, I like to go on vacation like 2 weeks at a time. And I'm like, 2 weeks? You mean like 2 weeks like every month? But which looks like it's Frank's plan, you know, for this year. It's like 2 weeks vacay, 2 weeks work, you know, but really, yeah, it's incredible. And I don't feel that we get enough coaching on like what to do with it, because we could have so many, like, I feel 30-year-old millionaires like crazy running around because of the amount of income they're able to earn since they're like 18 years old, you know? And even those who are really strategic and like super tight with money, even in their late 20s, you know, being able to be a millionaire, like that's crazy and amazing, you know? And how much more can you do? How much more can you like, and it's fun. You're like, oh, 30, you're not old at 30. I feel like 30s have been the best time. Like I've loved my 30s so much. I feel like now it's like the greatest time to party because I like have money. I got my shit together. I'm not and it's so fun, you know. But I had fun all the way through. But it's a really good thing. So, biggest takeaway, KP. Biggest takeaway.
Probably what you were talking about. What areas could you delegate? For me, that's going to be big for me leading into the next 2 years. Is delegating, because I have so many goals. So. With my businesses. So that was the biggest thing for me. You know, you hear it, you know it. I've been around this stuff a long time. So, I mean, but sometimes when you hear somebody say it a different way or put it in a different perspective, it kind of was like, oh, that's actually a good idea. So, you know, I've always hired people to do things when I can go cheaper, maybe overseas and, you know, and stuff like that. So, it's kind of like what I'm looking at this year. I spend way too much time doing my newsletter for my Path magazine. It's been first 4 hours of my day is just doing news stories, writing, and just sending that newsletter out daily. I can't do that anymore, you know. And like you said, with spending 8-hour dollar task, 4-hour task, when I need to be trying to get $100 hour task by either calling past customers or Cut Color and my magazine that can be generating actual money. And with Path magazine in particular, you know, when we're talking about 500 CPO in my magazine, we're talking about $500 real dollars just in seconds, where I can be passing, you know, getting calls and stuff like that. So this year, that has to change. So for me, that was the biggest takeaway. Financial advisory, I could teach a course on it. I mean, I've been well adept at it for a long time. So I've got all my pieces in place of where I'm going with that. But that's what really hit me home was the delegating.
Cool. By the way, another great thing with your newsletter that you could do is you can just, while you're driving to a function, be voice recording yourself talking about whatever you want to talk about, and shoot that over them, and they will type it all up, send it back to you. You can fix it, give it back to them to make it look good, and send it out. You know, so like you could still, Yeah. So because you can just talk. So for 20 minutes that you're driving, you're heading to a show, or if you're standing at a show or you're taking a break, you can sit and something comes to your mind. You're like, you know, I want to talk about that, and just start talking and just dictate it. And you send the voice memo over and they'll type it all out. And then you want to look at it again for grammar. You know, like if you want someone who's a good writer and speaks English, you could use Fiverr or Fiverr, Fiverr. You can get logos made there. You can make all sorts of stuff. But there's people, anything for your business that you need. It's like freelancing, but it's a website where you have a lot of the best, and they'll give you ideas and then you can pick them. But you can have somebody who's a writer who listens to it and they make it sound really pretty and give it back to you for cheap. So you can use that time with something else, you know. And if you just want the words on paper, I would just send it to your assistant overseas. They give it to you. You make sure it looks good how you want it.
Most of the stuff I'd have them do is pretty easy. It's just press releases. You check an email. You post what the public relations person sends you. You put the pictures in. Simple. Now,
oh, yeah, that's easy.
Myself it takes a little time, but I don't even really write that much. 80% of the stuff I post is press releases. And a lot of people don't realize magazines that you read, most of it's submitted from PR people. So it's like easy.
Right. It's just putting it together and takes time. Perfect. I like it. I like it.
Another resource, I actually have a client who has a concierge service. Like during mall season, when shit was just batshit crazy, like she could have sent my mall inventory back if I wanted to. Paid her $20. She drove all the way out to Katy, picked up all my medicine back. I had it in 2 hours. $20. Like,
Nice.
But I wanted her contact.
Biggest thing is I think something that I've been from the end of last year looking to this year was the delegation and streamlining everything. I'm really trying to have more bang for my buck, which is why keeping it simple with just working this many days and then setting up my marketing and just keeping it that. Like I don't right now. I don't feel like I need to make or sell 500 grand, but I do need to sell more. But I also need to free up more of my time so I can pursue some other stuff that I'm working on, or that I want to work on, I should say. So delegation is big. The money to family is big. It's been in the back of my mind. I've been getting a lot of money to my family, and I love it because growing up, there was something that they gave me. So I feel like the last few years has been really good to give back, but I can already see where it's trending, where I'm always the first option now. And so hearing it from someone else definitely does help, and knowing that it's okay to do it, right? So I think those two were the biggest, and I hate details, so that's gonna have to come later. But knowing that I'm gonna have to get good at details, it kind of sets the.
Or hire someone who's great at detail, and they can sit with you and go, Frankie, what do you want? Okay, what do you want this? And they can get it all organized for you. And then you're like, yeah, that's good. And they're like, all right. And they keep you on your shit. And every week they're like, Frank, you did this, or and they can keep you in check. So that's another thing to remember too. You don't have to be great at everything. And if you know that there's something that you like really just dread, find someone who loves it. Like any banker, like have them take a CVI test. If they're a banker, they love detail and lists and like organization. And so that's a perfect person for you to have, where somebody else is great with ideas and they need someone who's like a builder and an executor, and so knowing like your strengths and putting yourself in a position as a business person with like, be strong at putting the strongest people around you to make a strong unit. You don't have to be strong at everything. So, there's a lot of big dogs that did that. Like they just knew like, all right, I'm not gonna do this. So, they're great recruiters of talent into the areas where they want more strength. So, Jonathan.
Our conversation there earlier was interesting. Yeah. Anyway, since in the ONDP trend tracks numbers and know where things are going. For me, it's more just financial tracking, like knowing where my money's going. And I've invested a lot in different coaching programs the past couple of years, but like figuring out why am I making so much to feel like, oh, damn, you gotta kind of, things are getting a little tight right now. So that's gonna be big for me. And then just delegating and figuring out what can I get, not to say get off my plate, but just like what can I delegate to somebody else so I can just focus on income producing activities.
Mr. Rajin.
Biggest thing for me right now, we talked about this yesterday, is delegation. It's not really delegation, it's building systems at scale, but that can be run by big delegated. Biggest takeaway today is I'm pretty aware of all this financial stuff, but definitely got away from it this past year. Which is why I'm having a planning called planner. No, an implementation call.
Cool. I like it.
Well,
Mr. Lara.
My biggest takeaway was just the fact that I wasn't dealing with freaking out about savings. So it's gonna be really awesome to be around on everything else, and also the documents as well. It's really helpful to basically just see where all my money's going, because I probably need to track that all there.
Cool. I'm unmuting you all. So Jacob, Brandon, or Mike?
I'll
I
go.
guess I can go ahead and go.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
Brandon, we can.
Okay, cool. I guess mine is just like it's just knowing your numbers and like knowing where everything comes from because I've never really looked at my averages that hard. Like I know roughly, but I never like really dug into them. So I guess just knowing those numbers and knowing where everything kind of comes from and how you hit the goal, how you hit what you did for the year.
Cool. Jacob?
For me, it was looking back at last year, like kind of like what Brandon was saying, looking back at last year and seeing what I sold during demos, service calls, and shows, and seeing how much I can grow in those areas, and just kind of scale my business in that aspect, and doing the delegation. Like I'm pretty excited. I got one assistant right now, and I'm looking to get another here pretty soon. So having delegation set up and just having everything mapped out like way ahead of time.
Okay. Cool. And I would love to see, especially with those of you who are like younger with assistants and just getting into this realm of your business, what exactly are you having assistants do? If you can create a list of tasks and responsibilities that they have, what are they helping with? How many hours? When is that happening? I think that would be really beneficial to review, and it'll just to make sure it's the right task, the right amount of time, you're spending the right amount of money. It's good to analyze that stuff. So I always look at people above me and review with them. Hey, how much are you paying for this? How much are you paying for? I like to compare because I want to make sure I'm never overpaying or maybe I'm underpaying, and I'm not getting the caliber of people I need because I need to be paying a little bit more. So there's just good things to look at, And Mike, I know that you hopped off and then come back. I don't know when you jumped back on, but from what you heard, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Biggest things for me was I would say the assistance component. I definitely need help when it comes to things. I've kind of gotten spoiled with being able to run a business with virtually no expenses because it's just coaching all over the phone, other than my own personal development and coaching training. So I've gotten a little spoiled with that, but I need to start putting money back into people and systems that can help me really actually start to grow my business and run a more functional life. So that's
and it's
that was a big thing.
Not expenses, but more of investments that grow it more. When you have the right people in place, they're bringing a lot more in. You're not just putting out, you're putting out to bring a lot more in. So I'm putting out 20% to get 80% back type of thing,
Right.
So making sure that's always a big thing too, because I see that with managers in their business who didn't want to spend on receptionists or coverage or whatever it was because they were like, oh, I don't want to spend that much. I'm like, yeah, but when they do this, as long as they're hitting these numbers, I'm actually earning 150%. I'm like beyond like their pay, I'm also getting 150% return on their work as long as they were hitting blank numbers, like getting people scheduled per hour, et cetera, and having like actual metrics in place to know where you break even on your money and where it's helping you get money. And sometimes it's just giving you peace of mind on some activities that helps your energy be higher because there's things that are energy suckers or drainers, where there's some people I know that love cleaning their car, love cleaning their house. It gets so therapeutic. That is an energy suck for me. I love cooking. I love cooking. Some people that's an energy suck for them, but that like gives me energy. I love cooking. I don't like cleaning my mess after, but I love cooking. So I will hire someone to come clean after, because if I have to clean after, it sucks the life out of me. So anyway, like knowing what are the things that are going to feed you so that you're being able to perform at your highest level. So that's really good too. So awesome. Well,
exactly.
Again, I really appreciate you guys letting me take this time, from your schedules, taking time to go through this. I'm excited to like be able to meet with you guys individually because I know from talking, people are at different places in their business. I had planned on 11 to 4 because I wanted time to just hang out. You don't have to stay the whole time. That's why I was like 4-ish. So whatever you want to do. But we ordered in food, so food will be arriving here. But I want to reinforce. So I'm gonna turn this off and put on another video so we can walk through on the screen here how to look up numbers with James. So for whoever wants to join in on that, we'll have that. I want to have that, but again, I know there's a lot in your businesses, obviously in all of ours, and anytime we're meeting, I want to be able to bring something valuable that can help really move you 5 steps forward. So even if you go like half a step back on the day or whatever, like, can it help us move 5 steps forward? And that's my goal anytime that we're together, is that whatever we're doing is helping catapult us even further along on the path of what we're working towards. Cool? So I love you guys. Thank you. I want to respect the time. I know I said 11 to 2 we'd be on Zoom. We're going to put up here the, how to figure out numbers. So I'm going to hang this call up, and then I'm going to record a separate recording